Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 65, The Fate of the Furious Lap 5. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe 2, and this episode's brought to you by the Naval Submarine School. When the first class of 24 officers began studies for submarine duty a century ago in the summer of 1916, the submarine base in Groton, Connecticut was little more than a handful of buildings scattered across the area now known as Lower Base. Thank you to the Naval Submarine School.
So what did they send us as part of the sponsorship package? What do we get from the Naval Submarine School?
Nuclear reactor.
Oh, really? Two of them just want to share?
Well, I mean, it's big. I don't think we really need to share it, but...
So we can both, live inside it at the same time and be okay with it?
Exactly. 3.6, not great, not terrible.
Is that out of 7?
No, Did you watch Chernobyl?
Yes. Oh! I didn't know where you're going
Yeah.
with that. Yes, but 3.6 out of 7 also feels pretty good, not terrible.
Appropriate.
Well, here we are. So, okay. So, this is the weirdest episode I think we've ever recorded because, as we will discuss in our extracurricular activities, I went to CES in Las Vegas for the past week. So, we recorded the back half of this 9-10 days ago or something.
A long time ago, it feels like.
And so we have basically infinite emails to read. I edited that, thank God I did, because, we're pretty close to pretty close to publishing date, and I don't remember, honestly, what we talked about. I know it was a fun episode. Enjoy. Whenever we get to it, enjoy, because I don't know. But, Joe...
I was going to say I don't remember either.
I remember Cara... I remember Cara's thoughts on the movie, and I remember playing a game and stuff, but other than that, I don't remember anything, really. It's...
You don't remember?
Truly ephemeral. I don't remember. Okay. So, since we last recorded, I guess, Spy Racers, a week and a half ago, Joe, what have you been up to?
Nothing. No, just, literally, I don't think I've been doing anything.
Well, like I said, I was in Las Vegas for the last 7 days, and it is fun, it is exhausting. Go out there with my company to do floor tours at CES, bring around companies to show them the best of the floor. And so we make sure that I don't give the tours, but I make sure the tours go out smoothly. Yeah. So we got to walk around the floor, some cool stuff. The big news. Did you hear any headlines from CES or no?
No, I was just waiting for you to tell me. I haven't checked anything out.
The thing that was most interesting, I think, to the general world is Samsung has this subgroup called Neon, which they're working on an AI companion, basically.
Awesome. That's a South Park joke. Sorry.
Imagine the movie Her, but with a picture.
Just a picture,
a video, a video screen.
Okay, so they generated a person too. There's a face to it.
Correct. Yeah. So this is a subset of Samsung. Samsung started tweeting about the week leading up to the show. And it's not meant to replace Alexa or Google or anything like that, but it's meant to be kind of an AI companion. It's supposed to form memories. It's going to be a friend, a companion, whatever.
That's creepy. Okay.
It's run by this company, Star Labs, which is straight out of the Avengers, straight out of Tony Stark. Right now, the videos, they've only had 4 months to work on it so far. The videos that were on display were actually just mo-capped people, but they were all computer-generated, actions and movements and facial gestures and everything like that. But eventually... because apparently they have been granted a 10-year runway, 10 years to make this happen. It's going to be all AI generated and just basically giving people friends or companions or in businesses receptionists and everything. Whatever you need, this is in theory, and whether Samsung does it or whether another company does it or whatever, this is in a way the future. And so it was kind of one of the cooler things.
That is cool.
One of the more unique things, at least, from any company at the show. Samsung, a lot of cool stuff. Otherwise, they also, I took a little picture and I sent it to you. They had a 292-inch TV called The Wall, and they were showing some Hobbs and Shaw trailers.
I feel like they've had this before. They've had something called The Wall.
Yeah, The Wall's been around. It's not new.
That's what I thought.
It's a modular, what it is, it's a modular TV setup. And so it's 12-inch by 12-inch panels that you combine. And depending on the size of it, it goes from 4K to 6K to 8K. It's just stunning. And so they were showing, a lot of different content. There's screens everywhere, and screens are kind of boring in general, but just the size of this is just breathtaking. And 292
massive.
With Hobbs and Shaw, just them driving around the island of Samoa was awesome to see. Just a kind of coincidence, anywhere you look, there's family. Vegas is always fun, but Vegas is just exhausting because I'm working 14-hour days and,
Yeah, you don't get to do, you're not going to hang out at CES and see stuff, so.
People are jealous, oh God, you're in Vegas for a week. I'm no, you don't understand, this is not fun. Yes, we eat really good dinner and we have a good time and I like the people I work with and everything like that, but it's exhausting. Yesterday when I flew back, I woke up at 3:30 to take a 5:50 flight home. It was crazy, a crazy way to end the week, but I was home at 3:30 or 4. and then basically took a 3-hour nap on the couch and then went to bed at like 9 or 10. So, kind of shot the day, but I'm home. And now we are recording more podcasts for Infinity.
Truth.
Oh, the Vikings won, so that's exciting.
That is
Vikings
cool.
today
Play again today.
are playing the 49ers, and so good luck to you, Wells.
I'm excited for the games this weekend. I mean, like, I know this is going to come out after it, but hopefully we get some fun ones.
The whatever happens, we'll have a new Super Bowl champion. No repeat. So the Patriots are out, which is exciting.
That's thank God. Oh, that's pretty much all I did. I celebrated very hard that the Patriots were out. Actually, I bought a new shirt too that I'm wearing right now, and it came a little late, but the shirt just says "As long as New England loses."
Oh.
I'm wearing it right now.
So that's everything, basically, all the extracurricular activities. More, if anything, happens between now and, Wednesday or whenever we record our next episode, which is Tammy and the T-Rex. So go watch the gore cut if you can find it. If you have to... I don't know that it's really available to stream online. You might have to actually get the disc from Vinegar Syndrome. I don't know.
Did we even see if there was like the regular version online?
So, good news. It is 2 different places. It's on Fubo TV.
Oh yeah, people use this. It's like Sling kind of.
Right, and I don't know a lot about Fubo, but the easier way to find it, maybe, and I think it's free with subscription. If you get a subscription, you get a free trial there. But also more easily, if you have Amazon Prime, it's not on Prime, but it's on Showtime on Amazon. So if you search Prime Video Tammy and the T-Rex, you can start a 7-day free trial of Showtime on Prime, and then
okay, cool.
just cancel it immediately. So
yeah, that's cool.
So you can watch
Good
it.
way to
You
watch
can watch it for free, and you can watch it legally, which is all that really matters.
Amen. True.
If you want to watch this movie, which I am very excited about, we will cover that next week. Joe, we have a Patreon page here on the show, patreon.com/TooFast2Forever. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenin, and Justin Kleinman for supporting us at the $5 level or above. Thank you all so very much. We are closing in ever so close on lap 6. If you want voting rights in what movie we watch next lap, the patron pick.
Oh, true.
If you want to pick an entire episode that we're going to do, you can do that over there. If you just want our undying love and affection or stickers or whatever you want, patreon.com/TooFast2Forever. Now, Joe, like I was saying before, gigantic mailbag, email address family@cageclub.me. I don't even know what the number is. It's a bigger number than we've ever had. So let's just dive into it. Oh, yeah.
Start digging. Let's go.
Because his first email is from 9 days ago. So we have 9 days of emails, essentially, right? So there's a lot here. So first up.
Sometimes it feels like we don't get any emails in the intermission weeks, kind of, and I'm excited for a lot of emails.
Because this one was sent right after our last episode. Yeah, because it's been a while. So, okay, first up from Wells Lamont. We mentioned him earlier briefly from the 49ers conversation.
Yes.
Subject line, what is the differ? I don't know if he got excited and didn't finish the sentence subject, or if it just if that was intentional, but what is the differa?
What is the differa?
I just realized, Wells writes, DK got his money stolen from his so-called partner, his girl stolen from some white gaijin, his respect taken from his uncle, and his DK title taken by the same man that took his girl, and on top of that, he has to leave Tokyo for good. That's a rough sequence. He's probably in a hotel room somewhere shooting up with a bunch of Thai hookers and drunken midgets. That's actually my dream if my life ever falls apart.
Jim Irsay, like the owner of the Colts, like every story I read about him, I'm like, that's a relatable guy. If I was a billionaire, I'd probably be doing the exact same things. Do you ever know any of his stories?
I think I've heard about it. It was a couple years ago, right?
His mistress, was found OD'd and dead in his house, and then he gets pulled over with 30 grand in cash and a bag of pills, like a garbage bag full of pills.
That's a weird level of rich and fame where if you were more rich or more famous, you wouldn't hear about those stories. You're rich enough to do those lifestyles, but you're not, that type of lifestyle, but you're not rich enough to cover it up entirely?
Yes, you're right. Actually, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. If you're a little bit richer, then this shit never comes out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, makes sense.
The reason Brian told Dom I almost had you wasn't because he almost won the race, but because he started the race so poorly and came so close to winning that if he would have had a normal start, he would have won. He got all squiggly at the beginning, killing any shot at a victory, which we talked about in the minute when he gets off the line so poorly.
Yeah, true.
Wells says, good luck to Joey in the wild card round. Thank you so much. It worked. If the Vikes win as a 49ers-Vikings divisional playoff, that'd be cool. How do y'all like that Niners-Seahawks game? Do my Niners not always give a good show? Dumbass, stressful. I was freaking out. It was a glorious ending, though.
Yeah, the Niners-Seahawks game was exciting. I'm excited for this game today, and we will definitely probably talk about it on the next episode, I'm sure.
And either in great detail or no detail, depending on what happens.
That was a game.
When Tran raced Jesse for slips and won, Dom should have brought up the fact that Tran and his, quote, leopard print pants-wearing cousin shot up Brian's green car earlier in the movie, therefore they should be even, and no cars need exchanging. Actually,
True.
very
Good point.
timely because we're going to be covering that minute today.
That's true, and that's a good point. Yeah. They should be even. Dom seems like really I can't believe Dom doesn't like beat the shit out of Johnny Train next time he sees him, right? Like he kind of fights him, but it's over something else. It's not like you blew up my car.
Clearly Johnny Tran has issues going on. He's not confident in a lot of different things, right? In the last minute that we talked about, minute 29, when they say, oh, so it's nobody's car, because Brian's like, oh, it's Dom's. He's like, I haven't taken receipt of it yet or whatever, right? Like,
I haven't taken
Johnny could
delivery,
say,
yeah.
oh, well, that wasn't your car. It was nobody's car. Like, you told me it was nobody's car, so you still owe me a car. It could be like that kind of petty thing, too. I could see him sort of spinning it like that.
Mr. Nobody's car?
Ooh. I want to go back to a time, Wells writes, where I didn't know Brian was a cop until they first let you know. I don't remember what it was like not knowing he was a cop. I almost feel someone told me he was a cop before I watched the movie, but I don't remember. Only about 5 years ago it was brought to my attention that you don't know he's undercover until a good while into the movie, which I think is like, we haven't gotten there. Oh, no, we did get there. It was like 20...
No, we haven't gotten there. We don't know he's a cop yet.
Oh, because he's gone to Harry's, but we don't know he's a cop. So it's like 35 minutes, because we're 30 minutes in and it hasn't happened yet. 35 or 45 in? It's not halfway, but it's like close to halfway in the movie.
Yeah, you're right. And we still got like the party to get through. Like we don't see him with cops until they arrest him.
And even then,
in
for
the
another
Harry's
minute or
truck.
two, it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Obviously, I should have known this, but I never thought about it, and after watching it so many times, it became a blur.
Yeah, true.
Kids that will watch the first Fast will probably wonder what exactly Jesse was putting into the computer when he was showing Brian the 10-second car, what it might look like when it was finished. He's using a floppy disk. Haha.
I saw this tweet the other day that was like, one of my students asked me why I 3D printed the save icon, and they were just holding up a floppy disk, and I was like, oh god, that makes me feel so old,
Yeah, that's not that long ago either, right? But it's a relic.
Yeah.
All right, bro sips, until next time, peace anus, you anus piecers.
Thank you, Wells, for writing in. Did you see Wells' picture of all of his bobbleheads?
No. Is it on his Twitter?
Yeah, he like replied it to something else, and I was like, dude, how have you not sent us a picture of all your bobbleheads? Like he has like this like 50 to 100. I don't know, I didn't count them, but there's like a ton of them, and he has like all of these like Niners, Oakland A's bobbleheads. It was really cool. It was something that I thought you would like. He had, like has them like all lined up. It's in like pictures and.
Oh,
like,
for sure. Here's a better pick. Yeah, all these A's bobbleheads. That's cool.
Right? Yeah. Very cool.
Very cool. Oh wow. Here's a bigger one. Oh wow. Yeah. Bunch of A's, and then there's a bunch of like Niners memorabilia.
Yep.
That's a cool little shrine.
Yeah, I know. That's like something that seemed like up your alley.
And
I was
also,
like, wow.
shout out to West Hampton. There's a Donatello, maybe? Who's the purple turtle? Donatello? Donatello. Cool. Yeah, because he's got him hanging from the bottom right. So there's a little bit of a Wes in Wells, which you can't spell Wells without Wes. So.
Oh, nice one.
Next email from Nick Burris. Everybody forgets about Tanya. That white trash biatch. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year late, but whatever.
Who's Tanya?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Maybe she was like part of the race or something?
I don't know.
Like one of the girls in the beginning race?
We'll find out.
Okay.
First, Wes cracks me up.
Yes.
First about the combos, and then about what if.
Yeah.
Wes or is that Wells? Who is he talking about here?
What if was Wells, but Wes said about the combos, right? Like put him in the. He said they'd eat him till his stomach hurt.
Yes. So maybe a little bit of both there. Marvel is doing a show called What If. It's like, what if Captain America was like never unfrozen or something?
Oh, okay. So it's like alternate universe
Yes.
type theory things.
And it's like standalone
that's
episodes.
Cool. What if Stark Industries never sold missiles?
Yep. It says, what would
power?
happen if moments from the films of the MCU occurred differently?
Yeah, that's a cool thing. That's fun to think about. It's just fan service.
Yep. So it's coming
I
out
like it.
next year, middle of next year, 10 episodes. Cool. Nick says, for his vending machine snack, I guess it would be gummies and Mike and Ike, but I'll eat any snack.
Gummies? What kind of gummies? There's so much variability. Like gummy bears. I have a bag of gummy bears on my table right now. You like talking like gummy worms, peachy rings. I mean, there's a lot of options here.
He says, in the minute, he says, no way Brian's car, the Eclipse, would have survived piston rings and still driving it. Would have been smoking like a bitch, plus the oil would have gone eventually and seized up, really, just like it overheated.
Yep. I think about that all the time. They're like, yeah, you blew the piston rings, like the engine's fucked, and then he's like, okay, now I have to go rescue Dom with this car.
He says, I think I'll have to watch in the lap 5 order just to get a different view for Tokyo Drift, which we've been saying all lap long is a new way to look at the movies.
We love it. Yeah, true.
Cara is a good listen. From bringing the Dr. Phil on with how Han deals with grief, or how Denise is an inside joke.
We love having Cara on, and it's fun that she like hadn't seen them before, so like her theories are fresh.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, and plus she like just has very unique views on things like this, so it's always helpful.
And he says that I think he agrees with Cara that they need to do a short movie on how Letty is dealing with her memory loss.
Yeah, that would be nice. We want all of these weird spin-offs, though.
In talking about hacking and talking about like where the franchise is going, he says there's 2 topics that are fiction, but could actually happen if someone's careless. Number one, the Terminator. So, Judgment Day, just AI taking over, right? Or machines taking over.
Yeah, it's your Samsung thing. There you go.
And he says,
Your
and
imaginary friend.
definitely zombies. Some dumbass will be experimenting, expose everybody. Hell, we can't even keep Ebola out of the U.S.
That is very true. Like a fun fact from work is that we often use viruses to put genetic material into cells, right? Because that's what viruses do. There's ways that you can make a virus with the genetic material that you want and then put it into cells and drive it that way. I always get really nervous that like we're going to make one of these like genetic viruses that we're using for research and it's going to like infect people and you're going to have like all these weird zombie type things happen. So I think about this a lot actually.
Everything you see, every crazy advancement, like if it's in the wrong hands, like you could trust somebody implicitly, but all it takes is one bad egg to take the technology and then like it just becomes, or just not fully understanding, not even like maliciously, like what it could be, right? Like it just.
Yeah, AI is scary, man, and we're going to have to deal with it soon.
When they're overlooking LA, I think this is at the end of 7, I want to see the Ford Galaxy running around disappointing. I assumed that it was Luda's ride because he was riding. Nick says, I knew the Honda Ridgeline.
Like when we were playing the game?
I guess so, yeah. I knew the Honda Ridgeline as soon as you said the bed compartment. They were weird. Being a real truck guy, I thought they were stupid, but I would take the old version compared to the chopped off minivan look they got now.
I was just telling Matt about this when we were driving too, about the whole like truck bed. He used to have a Dodge Ram. I was like, did you ever see the inside of a Ridgeline? Like, because we were talking about it after we played the game.
He says, I want another short on how Dom met Han. In Too Fast, I wanted to know what Roman says in the driver's meeting when they take the licenses. Maybe I'll find out if we ever get to it in the minute.
Yeah.
So a couple more just, filling in the backstory. And I think that's something that we might, we might know that to some extent when we get to like deleted scenes and things like that. So, just stay tuned. Yeah. Eventually we'll get to all these things, or we won't. And we'll all, but we'll have our theories, right? So that's all that matters.
Exactly.
Says, keep it up, fam. Talk to you later, Nick.
Thank you for writing in, Nick.
Nick sends in a car picture, which I will skip for later.
Cool.
And I think he sends in another car picture, too. He actually sends another email, too, later, so I'll just read that now. He says, Spy Racers, LOL. Says, so just finished Spy Racers. Sure, this email will be after you record, so it's all good. Says, they did pretty good. I like that there was a little movie moves, like driving into the plane and hacking, and Dom in it, too. I liked it. Represented
Agreed.
all the movies in their own way. Just wanted to comment, so it gets in on time. Catch you on the other side, fam. Nick.
I really enjoyed Spy Racers. I think it was fun. I'm excited for another season, and I'm firmly in the West Hampton camp now. That any new content is good content. I'll take anything I can get. So.
All right. Now we have 2 emails now from Alex Ellenin. So here's what Alex writes. First up,
okay.
Subject line: You think mermaids lay eggs? ?
Ooh.
On the topic of the order of the series, I figure this. Then it cuts off. Maybe, like, this is another, because it just says, I figure this I, but lowercase I, and then nothing. So I don't know if this is going to be continuing. I don't know if this is a thought. I don't know if people are hacking our emails. Maybe this is Cypher. I don't know.
It's Cypher's in our emails? Yeah, I mean, I think they listen to us, so.
Alex says, it was July last year, and a buddy of mine from work is someone I bond over cars with. The topic came up that he hadn't seen the Fast and Furious movies except Tokyo Drift. So this dude's a fucking unicorn, right? But this is a guy who follows the Formula Drift series, so not too wild in context. But he tells me he's never seen the series.
That makes sense. But, like, that's the only one you saw? Very, very different, right?
Alex says, so I immediately ordered the complete set from Amazon, but I'm bored at work. I'm about to finish one of my normal podcasts, so I start searching and found a couple Fast and Furious podcasts. They don't really hold my attention, then I found yours. These idiots are going to watch these movies for eternity? ? So that's how I found this podcast.
Awesome. That's really cool. Glad that the premise works. But that's exactly what I would think when I was like reading this. You'd be like, they're really like, are they still fucking talking about these movies? Like you'd like put on like the first one and a recent one. You'd be like, they're still fucking talking about these movies, aren't they?
But my 16-disc complete set shows up and we start watching. I'd made the executive decision to watch them in chronological order, especially since he'd already seen 3. And I thought suspense would build until he got to the one he'd seen. When my girlfriend and I started dating years ago, I learned she'd only seen a couple movies but couldn't name which ones. So I think we watch them in the same way in preparation for number 7. So this is a long
watch
email.
It in the order.
He says the long email just to say chronological order is a superior watching order, which I think we have officially decided this lap as well, right?
I think we established that. Yeah. After watching it this way, it feels like a completely different experience for me, and I really liked it. I think that I would pretty much stick this way forever.
When I started this email, Alex writes, I texted my friend and told him to rank the movies, and this fool told me I'd have to rewatch them. 1 to 4 is the best for me, with Tokyo Drift being my favorite. Once they stop being about cars, they become a blur. He says, so yeah, he can be pretty useless at work too.
I do think that your friend has a point. 5 through 8 kind of do become a blur. There's like big, like pivotal moments that you're like, oh, this is definitely in 1. But if you've heard us talk about them, I mix up the non significant parts of 5 through 8 all the time.
And I edit those out too to make you sound ever so smarter, ever so slightly smarter.
You do. Yeah, I know. I know.
You mean that's in 6 right now, Joe? That's in 7. Oh, you sure?
Then I hear the episode and I'm like, in 7.
Yeah.
And then, like, I just sound so confident about it because you just told me what the real answer was. Yep, it's awesome.
And then
Thank
Alex
you.
basically ends the email and says, "Don't feel like you need to read this one on record either." Well, too late. You already buried this. It's just me wanting to affirm the proper order in which to watch the series. But here's an entry for Dude, What's My Car? And then he puts a picture in. And then he also puts this picture of Rick from Rick and Morty. Or
Let me
Morty.
see.
Morty is the kid, right? Yeah, he just says, "You son
Yeah,
of a
Morty.
bitch, I'm in." I've never seen the
Did you
episode yet.
ever?
I'm getting to it.
I don't know if you'd like it or not.
I'm not sure either.
It's fun. It's like it's mindless or it's super intelligent. Do you know the meme that's like it takes a higher level of intelligence to understand Rick and Morty? Did you ever see this?
No, but that
Like
sounds
somebody,
that seems to track.
yeah, that somebody was like, "I'm so intelligent because I think Rick and Morty's funny," and everybody was like, "It's just a fucking cartoon, dude."
Next email also from Alex Ellenin. Subject line: I don't trust clocks before 9 a.m.
Interesting.
Says that Joey, you were discussing Jocelyn Donahue being in Furious 7, and that led me to the
Mm-hmm.
IMDb cast page. I found 2 uncredited characters I found interesting. One's character is listed as Han's brother. I'm guessing he's present
What?
during the funeral scene when Brian, Tej, and Roman are discussing no more funerals. I never noticed that.
I never noticed that either. That's interesting.
So second, another character is listed as Anton Toretto. Now I've seen the deleted scenes, and I don't know where he fits in, but I'm gonna rewatch them soon. I don't think they're in there because I was telling you, like a lot of the deleted scenes seem to be like Letty working on getting her memory back. Like it doesn't seem to be really about anything other. Like it seems her story is the main
Okay.
thrust of the deleted scenes. So I don't know. I don't know who Anton Toretto is.
Maybe he's like Tony Toretto's older brother.
Anton, maybe it's just Tony, because Tony and Anton both from the same root word Anthony, maybe.
No, but he would have to be like very young, you know?
Unless
Like
maybe Spy
for
Racers
it to
takes place in the
track.
past,
Oh,
right?
maybe.
Why make a character, Alex writes, who isn't even going to be listed in the credits, a relative of 2 main characters in the series? Could it be Han's brother, came back to avenge his brother's death as the director of Eteon? Ooh. Was he also
Ooh.
Hobbs' former lover? Ooh. Is Anton
Oh.
Toretto the true heir to the Toretto's market fortune? Ooh. These are all the good questions. Maybe the director was our own Wes Hampton.
Oh. Maybe Anton is the heir to the Toretto's market fortune. That would be an interesting twist.
Fascinating. Next up, we have a couple emails from our friend Jason Dickinson.
Okay.
Fast and Furious Spy Racers, awesome show. Can't wait for season 2. Stay fast, stay furious.
We agree. Stay fast and stay furious too, Jason.
Here's exciting. This is something we've not had in a while, Joe. We have new rankings.
Oh, okay, cool. Is it from Jason?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Let's hear the rankings.
Okay. Number 1, Too Fast, Too Furious.
Whoa. I think he's just trying to mess with our rankings now.
Number 2, Furious 7.
Okay.
Number 3, The Fast and the Furious, the OG.
Okay.
Number 4, The Fate of the Furious. Whoa. Number
Okay.
5, Fast and Furious 6.
Okay.
Number 6, Fast 5.
Okay.
That is the lowest
Wildly
that has
low.
been.
Yeah. Damn.
Cassie Wilson is at number 5. That's the lowest it's been. Wow, okay. Number 7, Fast and Furious. Number 4.
Okay.
And number 8, Tokyo Drift. Does not like Tokyo Drift.
Damn.
And I was saying to you, this is not included in his email, but he followed me on Letterboxd, and I'm at SoulPopped over there, and he loves the Turbocharged Prelude, but he does not like at all Los Bandoleros. So, again, just new thoughts, new opinions, new ways of thinking.
Hot takes on everything, man. I like it. It's interesting.
But Jason,
Man,
thank
I
you
can't
for writing in.
Yeah, I can't believe you don't like Tokyo Drift that much, bud. But I know Jason's a big fan of the family, like the character realm of the family. So that would track, right? If you really enjoy Dom and Letty and all of those people, Tokyo Drift might not be your favorite because it's everybody different. So
Right.
I get it.
Okay, so now we have another email from Wells. He says, no knees greater than 2 knees. That's a subject line. Okay.
Would you rather have 3 knees or no knees, Joey?
Where would the third knee go?
You pick.
I think I'm going to defer my answer until we find out what no knees to knees actually is. And then, because maybe it's a good thing. Although it doesn't sound like a good thing. In context, it does not sound like a good thing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good thing at all. Aren't your elbows just arm knees?
The knees of the arms. Dicks in our hands.
Dicks for our hands.
Knees on our arms. All right. Wells writes, what if Tarantino wrote and directed Fast 10? It'd be the best one for sure.
God. Oh my god, what if that's his like retirement movie? You know how he always says he's only gonna make 10 movies and he finishes it with Fast 10 and it's just like blood everywhere.
So Justin Lin's name is just a placeholder, like it's just an anagram for Quentin Tarantino.
Or we could do this like Death Note type thing, or the Grindhouse one, when
Oh, Death
he
Proof.
does like when he has like his friend like do like one scene for $1 or whatever. I want to just see like Tarantino do like one race scene, or no, we have like a really long driving scene where there's like a lot of dialogue in it. Okay.
That's my Fast and Furious minute wet dream. Just a minute of dialogue, just like talking about nonsense.
Yeah, it'd be like Royale. You know what they call nos in France?
Perfect. Wells says I can't imagine kicking a movie out of my top four to fit it in on my Mount Rushmore of Fastiverse films, but I would definitely have to if Tarantino directed it.
Same. I agree. You just took us down a great memory lane trip there. I'm very happy that you mentioned
He
this.
says five, three, two, and one can't be two or three ever. It'd be real hard to drop one, and five is the best one. I guess I have to choose five to bump it to fifth, and that makes me feel bad. Let's just say this is
Ugh.
real, and it's 2024, and the series is over. Here's how my list would probably look, assuming Tarantino did 10. All right, so here we go.
He sent you theoretical rankings.
4 years in the
Tarantino.
future. Yep. Okay, so here we go. From the bottom,
Okay.
number 8, Fate of the Furious. Or no, I guess not, I don't even know numbers because there are 12 movies on this list. So number 12, Fate of the Furious. Number
Okay.
11, Fast and Furious. Number 4, the reboot.
Okay.
Number 10, Furious 7.
Yeah,
Number
there you
9,
go.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay.
Number 8, Hobbs and Shaw 2.
Okay. It's just a little bit better.
Uh-huh.
Like we
Number
didn't do the
7,
reverse.
Fast and Furious 6.
Okay.
Number 6, Fast and Furious 9.
So he's good things from 9. Okay, I like it.
Number 5, yeah, so basically 9 is at the high end of his, like, it's not my all-time favorite, but it's the best one.
Okay, yeah.
Number 5, Fast 5. Number 4, the original, The Fast and the Furious. Number 3,
Yeah.
Too Fast, Too Furious. Number 2, Tokyo Drift. And number 1, Quentin Tarantino presents Quentin Tarantino's Fast and Furious number 10. And he says about number 8, you guys were right all along, still awesome, but def the worst one.
That really made me laugh. Thank you, Wells, for that email because that was incredible.
So then
Thank
he writes a lot about taming the T-Rex, which I'm going to skip, and then he says...
Save it.
And we'll
Save
explain
it.
why in a second. He says, I'm about to watch 5 to 8 in the next week or so. I've watched nothing but 1 to 4 the last 2 months, so I'll have a few things to say. All right, bros, until next time, peace, emoji, anus, you anus, peace emoji, ers. So peace, anus, you anus, piecers. And then I got a frantic email a couple days ago, or no, last night. Huge mix-up, red alert from Wells. Wow. Okay. So I just listened to the latest episode, and I had no idea you were discussing taming the T-Rex next episode. Don't even worry about reading my email. That's what happens when I take too long to listen to an episode, haha. Plus, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. So I think what we can do, I'm going to leave this email starred, is we can do the Tammy episode, and then on our Hobbs and Shaw episode, we'll read his like diatribe about because it's like this is the longest email that Wells I think has ever written us, and it's all about dinosaurs. And there's Seinfeld in there, and there's Tammy the T-Rex.
Perfect.
And so we'll
Save
get
it.
to that
Please
in a
save
couple
it.
episodes.
We can't forget it though.
Oh, it's
We
started. No,
just-
I'm good. I got it.
Okay. The Tarantino email took us for a fucking loop to begin
I
with.
know.
So.
I know. Next email we have from superfan Jenny McMullen. Subject line Patreon
Oh, what's up,
and
Jenny?
rock.
Okay.
Hi guys. Loved your
Hi,
Christmas
Jenny.
episode and actually listened to it on Christmas Day while driving between sister and parents' houses.
Very cool. That's cool.
She says, by the way, I'm doing this at work right now, so don't tell anybody, haha.
Shh. We won't. I promise.
Just finished episode 63, which I think was our Furious 7 episode. I've been trying
Makes
to
sense.
access Patreon since Giving Tuesday in November, but the login page never finishes loading. I also tried the
What?
app, but my phone is the wrong version. I'm thinking maybe a link would work. I'd appreciate it if you could send me one. So I did. Meet your new $1 patron, Jenny McMullen. So thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny, for being a patron. Hopefully, you get to check out the Fast and Furious Minute document.
Fast and Furious
And
Minute
you get to
document.
begin-
You get voting rights for next lap, and
Voting rights?
you already have our undying love and affection. But we also,
That's true.
I
She
don't remember
does.
if we said on this show or not, but because Jenny's been with us since Sack Attack, like she's been with us since basically the beginning.
For sure.
We sent her
Yeah.
stickers. So like the $1 does not include stickers, but Jenny's already got her stickers. So she's
She was our original.
she's original
she was our
family.
Original family. She was like our first fan, and we love her every day for it.
She was the first person to email that we did not know.
Yep.
And I still remember where I was when she emailed it. It still made me so happy. Adding a photo I found of Dwayne Johnson at a premiere in a very flashy suit, which makes me wonder, since his suits, which are usually lower key than this one, are likely custom made, what happens to one like this after he wears it? Just want to hear you ponder this subject later, Jenny. So I'm going to send 2 pictures here.
Interesting.
So the other thing to keep in mind is that, as body's changed. Like he is getting, I don't know if you've seen his Instagram, but like he is getting,
Huge.
like he's already been huge, but he's getting even huger for Black Adam, for the new DC movie coming up. So like he's like bigger than I've ever seen him. Like this suit's not going to fit him. You know what I mean? So like
This suit looks like fabric that your grandmother's couch had. It's like kind of a flowery print with like very gold, like a mustard gold color. Very, very flowery.
yeah, you or I wear this, we look the fool. He wears it, looks great.
Yeah, he's looking flashy. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking she makes the best point that these have to be custom suits because he's like gigantic,
Yep.
right? Like this isn't like off the rack shit. Like you have to make this for The Rock because like his shoulders are super broad, his like waist is very tapered. If he tried to buy a regular man's suit, it would just be like monstrous. Like he can't go to Men's Warehouse or something.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing in a way of like all these fashion designers make a beautiful, elegant dress for an actress when she hits the red carpet. Like that dress is never
Yeah.
worn again, right? Because it's the same kind of thing. Like just on a low scale, like Rachel or whoever, just like I can't wear like we have two weddings, I can't wear the same dress to both weddings. You know what I mean? Like the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this one, you are getting a dress to be worn specifically for the Oscars or for the Golden Globes or
And
whatever.
you're always going to be in the pictures of it
Yep.
because there's going to be a million pictures
You
of
can't
it.
wear that again. So like, what happens? Like, they must recycle in some way. They must be able to take the stitches out and like reuse the fabric or something. I don't know.
No, I don't think that they do that. I bet some of this stuff gets donated to museum collections.
Some is probably auctioned off.
Some of it's probably auctioned off. Some of it's probably in museum collections. I got to imagine that some of it's just like in a storage locker somewhere. Like goes back to the designer and just like is like trapped in trash essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that they recycle it. You know what? We should start a company that would be like like when you buy like sports cards and they have ones that are like this is a piece of the jersey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have one of
We
those. I
should
have a
sell
Bubba
the
Trammell game jersey. I don't know if you know Bubba Trammell. He was not very big. I don't know why he had a game jersey, but I have a Bubba Trammell game jersey.
I think that we should like cut them out and sell like cards that would be like The Rock at the Fast 10 premiere, and it would just be like
Ooh.
a print of this suit, right? And because I would pay like $15 for one of these, and you can make like how many inches of fucking fabric is on this suit?
I mean,
It's
his
huge.
chest is already 50 inches wide or whatever, right? We learned from Hobbs and Shaw, so like that's just a lot right
True.
there.
And you would get like a nice square of this, right? Like you would be able to tell that it was the suit, and like they could sell like movie cards. Your dresses. This is a great idea.
Last email, Joe, from Wes Hampton. Subject line: Furious 7 and Spy Racers. What up, fam?
What is up, Wes?
Wes says it's true what they say. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. Now that Brian is gone, Cara appreciates him, but it's too little, too late. Maybe she'll start appreciating The Rock more now, just in case. And spoilers: she's still not a huge fan of Hobbs, but I think when you hear the
He's
back
coming
half,
around.
it's better than it's been. Wes says, I don't want to say too much about it because this is for some reason a hot button issue, but we really like the new Star Wars too. I think it's kind of critic and opinion proof because it's a Star Wars movie and it doesn't really matter what anyone thinks, but we both thought it was fun and we enjoyed the fan service.
Yeah, you liked it. Wes liked it. That's cool.
Yeah. He says we also saw Cats. My only real regret is that we didn't make it to one of Alamo's Meowdy screenings, which is the Rowdy screenings. I don't know if I've talked about this on here,
No,
but
tell
so
me.
Draft House, as you know, as we talked about, is a very strict no talking, no texting policy. But every
Okay.
once in a while, for certain movies, they have a Rowdy screening. So basically, for Magic Mike and Magic Mike XXL, they're like, still don't talk, don't be an asshole, but like if you want to hoot and holler and whoop and whatever, and just like, but if you cannot control yourself when looking at a Channing Tatum shirtless on screen, this is the screening for you. Like I want you to like encourage.
That's
I
awesome.
think they gave that like fake money and whatever, and like just like they could like make it rain or whatever. But there's an idea that like this theater that is so staunchly be respectful is like still be respectful, but at the same time make it rain.
They don't want you to have like a conversation with your friend. I get that, but they're saying like
Yes.
also like yell at the screen and like have fun. That's cool. That's a really cool thing. I like Alamo more and more every time you talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Wes says we saw it, Cats, in a small theater with a row of like 10 kids and parents behind us and an old couple to our right. I think we're the only ones in the theater who really saw it for the train wreck it was. One of our friends is a theater teacher and saw it opening night out of morbid curiosity, so the whole theater was laughing, and about halfway through, this old woman stood up and yelled at everyone that they were ruining the movie for her. Normally, I'm firmly on the side of this respectful movie going, but I'm sorry, lady, you're on the wrong side of this fight. The only way to enjoy that movie is to laugh at it. Otherwise, you just sit in a confused haze for an hour and 50 minutes, trapped in a nightmare, unsure if you'll ever wake up again. I give Cats 3 stars.
3 of 7, perfect movie.
So I did not rate it. I know that past guest of the podcast, Chris Podcast, saw it and didn't know what to make of it. And he saw it again. He gave it 5 stars. He's like, I don't know how you could see. Like, it is still a movie that I'm thinking about more than almost anything I saw last year. Fellow
That's interesting.
past guest of the podcast, Austin Wolf Southern, saw it and he gave it 5 stars. He loved it. If art is meant to inspire and art is meant to make you think this is art. Like it's not. It's so poorly made, but like it's so like they took such a swing and completely whiffed in just about every regard.
This is what I say about like all of these movies. Like I can't watch. Like I have no respect for a movie like Sharknado because you're making something to be bad. Cats had every intention of being a good movie.
Yeah.
People really sat there and were like, "We're gonna do our best job at this." I haven't seen it yet, but from everything I've heard, it sucks. And I respect anything
It
done with
doesn't suck. Like
passion.
it's just like I don't want to keep like hyping it, but like it's so it doesn't conform to anything that like you would expect the movie to be. That it's hard to like. It's not good, but I wouldn't say it's like it's just its own thing.
Okay.
It's so weird. Also, since we last recorded, I put up on CageClub.me my favorite TV shows of the year list and my favorite movies
Yeah.
of the year list, and I put at the bottom of my movies list below number one, I put Cats and I put Serenity because those two movies were so beautifully bonkers that I loved them both so much. And I feel like Cats made people forget about Serenity, which was that Matthew McConaughey don't want to reveal a big twist in the movie
I
from
don't know.
January, but like people were like, "How is this? Like this is so terrible." But now Cats is like it's just the new thing that people are going to make fun of. But like they're both like, "Wow, like this is amazing."
I haven't seen either yet, so I'm excited to see both.
Wes says in regards to the weirdness in Furious 7, I don't know if every scene that was filmed or altered after Paul's death, but I seem to remember Jordana Brewster saying most of their scenes together had not been shot yet when he died. Specifically, the
Ah.
phone call between them was created using some of his old dialogue. There are
Yeah, we've talked
supposedly
about
a
this.
couple lines you can identify from other films. She said it was really hard for her to film a lot of those scenes, which I can understand.
Like emotionally hard. I'm sure that she was fine with it actress wise because she seems like a professional.
And sort of as a continuation, Wes says, I think Cara's misunderstanding Brian's goodbye. Granted, you need to know the background of Paul Walker dying to get the full effect of the scene, which I think she did, but I don't think they're never going to see Brian again. It's just that he realizes what's important now and won't be getting back on any more jobs until they CGI him again. I imagine they still hang out socially because family. He says, I really like Cara's interpretation of No Niece to Niece. I don't even care what the name actually means now because I'm fully into the theory that she's a real person from their time shooting Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's the best theory. The parking lot they're all standing in when they're discussing bringing the fight to the home turf is Dodger Stadium, which is also in the very beginning of the first movie.
Oh, that's true. That's a little connection.
Coming full
Yeah,
circle,
good
sort of.
call.
It's and the next sentence of Wes writes, it's the same parking lot we see Brian test out as Eclipse at the beginning of the first movie. Yeah. I mean, we knew that from the Fast and Furious Minute. He says, I wrote my general thoughts of Spy Racers before it came out, but I think, or before the episode came out, but it still stands fine as is. He says, I liked it fine, but it feels a lot like Hobbs and Shaw in that it's set in the universe, but not really a Fast and Furious movie or show. I guess
I
in
agree.
some ways, it's more connected to the main series because of Dom's cameo, and they're actually street racers we get pulled into some government nonsense. But it's also further separated by by the all over the place tone and zaniness. To be clear, I think that's fine. I actually liked it, but it's definitely for kids. So the worst you can really accuse it of is being unnecessary.
I agree. Yeah, and we said that in our episode. I'm firmly with you. It's you have to remember that it's a kids show, and that's fine. And it does a lot of fan service to the parent that would be watching it with their child. So I liked it too.
He says the animation and art style reminds me a lot of the 2012 Turtles series on Nickelodeon, which he thinks is the best animated version, so he's into it from that standpoint.
Oh, cool.
But aside from that, he liked the characters and the action a lot, although he has to say that some of it shocked him a little. There were a lot of crashes clearly played for laughs, and there would have been those big wrecks the main cast just walks away from, no big deal, just like the movies. But then every once in a while, there'd be a background character or a low-level racer who gets wrecked, and I was like, oh man, they just murdered that kid, which we were talking about last episode, I think, right?
Yeah,
Says
definitely.
it's a lot like that race scene on the freeway in Too Fast when the car goes under the semi-truck. It's such a fun, lighthearted race that goes real dark if you think about it too much.
Agreed.
Says the whole Ms. Nowhere thing was a little much, but again, it's for kids, so it tracks. I find it interesting and cool that they picked a show aimed at kids to introduce their first openly gay characters. That's not main cast, but they're not extras either, and they get some very wholesome screen time, which I enjoyed. That's one of the last big demographics they've been missing or skirting in the series. You can make a case for Suki, which we have, but also after listening to a lot of terrible Fast and Furious podcasts, I can confirm that most people who claim to love these movies do not see her as gay or bi, and no one sees even the possibility that Hobbs except for us. So there you go. Homosexuality confirmed for the Fastiverse.
Statistically, a lot of these characters have to be gay, right? Like, not even just actors. I'm talking like,
Well, what is it? It's like 1 in 8 or something statistically, or
yeah,
especially like,
that's what I'm
and that was
saying.
old and like, and I think feel now as the sexuality spectrum is becoming more diverse and people are becoming more understanding to a certain extent, not everywhere, but to a certain extent, maybe 1 in 4. So like the family is 8, 12 people. There's a couple, like just
Yeah,
mathematically.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like statistically, like even somebody in the family, like, is most likely. I don't know how they've skirted it with 400 characters in every movie. So
I also think that there's like a really easy, if maybe lazy way in just saying, Ramsey's the girls, right? Because
that would be, oh, that's a really good point, because then like Tyrese and Tej fighting over her would be moot. That's a good point. Yeah. No, it is lazy though, but yeah, I can definitely see that working.
I'd rather have a more established character because it feels like the later a character has entered the series that you like have some kind of like big like this is a statement kind of in a way, right? Like it just feels
Yeah.
if you had Dom or Brian or someone from the first movie, it's like, oh, this is like a meaningful thing. I feel like Hobbs has been around long enough that it could mean something. But if you have someone like Rams who's only been around a couple movies and sort of in the background, it's important and representation matters, but it's kind of less.
There's less gravity to it. I agree with you. Yeah.
He's like gravity. Everything just gets pulled to him. Wes says, I wondered how they would ramp the tech threat up for Fast 9, but I honestly don't know where they're going to go from a helmet that can control any technology anywhere.
We have God's Eye and then the magic helmet, so I don't know how you can get any more crazy than this technology wise. Like we've hit like that has to be peak of technology, right?
You would
Unless
think.
like somebody's like a Terminator. Oh, well, we had Hobbs and Shaw. We had Idris Elba be the Terminator.
Brixton.
So
The people's elbow.
yeah, the people's Elba. I don't know any more wackiness we can get.
I mean, it's got to be AI, essentially, right?
Yeah, but yeah.
I mean,
It has to
could
be.
the ET, and I think we might have even teased this or had this theory, like, could the AI, or could the ET on voice be AI?
Ooh,
Right?
yeah, that's a good one.
I
Yeah.
That's a very frustrating movie bad guy in a series like this that's grounded in like physicality, so that wouldn't work. But
Yeah.
it's kind of where the series is. I don't know. Wes says that's it for this week. I'm sad we're getting to the end of Cara's lap, but I'm glad she's enjoying the movies. It's always nice to bring someone new into the family. I'm very curious to see what she thinks about a movie with no Paul. Until next time, stay furious, Wes.
Thank you for writing in, Wes. That was a good email too.
So as a recap from that, we have 2 car pictures from Nick, and we have 1 very long dinosaur talk from Wells that we'll get to in a couple weeks. So thank you all for emailing in. If you want to email in, family@cageclub.me. Check that out. If you don't want to write in, and if you want to still say hi in a way, go to Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. Joe, we are up to 19. You notice this. 19 reviews,
Yes.
19 ratings, all 5 stars. No new reviews. Justin Kleinman's friend Core's Fallen Star, the last review over there, which is a glowing, wonderful review. But if you want to do something for us that's kind, give us 5 stars on Apple. Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you to the new person that rated us.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you're listening.
On the streets, Joe, here we go. Is there any news? It's been a while. I don't think there's been anything.
I think we're kind of hush right now until the trailer comes out. I think that we're not going to have too much news.
I am going to search, though, for
counting
Top of
down
the
the
Rock. Rock the Vote,
Okay.
I'm sorry. The Rock President. The Rock responds to Sonic the Hedgehog movie asking if he's president yet. Ooh, that's from last month. I'll take a look at that.
We talked
So
about
Sonic
this last
tweeted, what year is it is at The Rock president, and The Rock quote
Because
tweeted.
that's a clip from the trailer. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I heard about it. I haven't seen the trailer, but I heard about it. And The Rock
Okay.
quote tweeted and said, "So crazy. I used to love playing Sonic in college, which is crazy. I was 5 when I got the Genesis. You know what I mean? Just like different times."
Yeah, and he was at U Miami playing linebacker or whatever, right?
Yep. He says, many moons later, this life can be so damn wildly unpredictable and surreal at times.
Yeah, that's cool.
He doesn't really actually address president, but just I think he appreciates that,
He's
like,
a fan of Sonic.
yeah, that a thing that he grew
That's
up,
cool.
or not really grew up, but like loved when he was younger, now references him. Like, it's a weird kind of cool thing.
Dude, I can't wait till Fast and Furious references us. It'll be awesome.
Joe, the only thing we have to do before we take a break and bring in Cara to talk about the thing that we talked about 9 days ago, whatever it was, the Fast and Furious minute 30, a minute I called Nas.
Story, I'll tell you later. Let's get out of here.
the hell was that all about?
It's a long story.
Well, we got a 20-mile hike. Humor me.
A business deal that went sour. Plus, I made the mistake of sleeping with his sister.
So in this minute, as you just heard, Johnny Tran and Lance return to shoot up Brian's car. It explodes. And then Dom explains his history with Johnny Tran as he and Brian, as Dom and Brian, walk to Dom's house. And that's kind of it. Like, this is
It's just the car blowing up.
I think for the last couple of minutes, we've been trying to figure out the timing of all of this, and I feel like this is a little bit, we kind of get to the house maybe a little bit quicker than we were thinking, but also at the same time, it also feels right about right.
Yeah, and the last shot of the scene is like we just see the house right before they go in. Again, we talk about this. This is a very well encapsulated single minute, minus them starting in the middle of a conversation, Johnny Tran coming back, car exploding, whole explosion, and then just like a shot to a house.
Yep.
I kind of like the framing of it.
And there is music that kicks in at the end that I will identify next minute. I'm sure the people who, I'm sure Wes probably knows what that song is, but I'm just going to be able to figure it out more easily. I don't know if it's score or I don't know if it's soundtrack, but we'll figure it out next minute.
Cool.
But Joe, what did you find? I had you do a little bit of extra research, but I guess before you get that, let's do the signs. It looks like you found something important.
Yes.
Which I'm looking at right now, the satellite view.
You brought up, hey, this is the car explosion one before I had seen it. And you're like, do you think Craig Lieberman made a video on this? And I was like, no, but that sounds about right. And I searched, and Craig Lieberman definitely made a video exactly about this. And I wondered how you forced that into the universe somehow. So I have a lot of cool facts. I kind of stole them from him. So obviously, go give Craig Lieberman the credit. He was there. The coolest thing is he tells us exactly where they shot this scene.
Oh, okay.
It is at T&K Food Mart in Westminster, California, in Little Saigon. You can go there. It still exists, and it's actually a grocery store. And there's like a giant Buddha statue in the front of it, and people go there and take pictures of it and pull their Eclipse up at night to take pictures in front of it, which I think is fucking awesome. And we need to add that to our tour when we go to California to do the Fast and Furious
Now,
tour.
have you mapped out how close this is to other filming locations?
No, this is in Anaheim. I don't know.
Oh, so it's not super close.
Not close to, what was the other big landmark that we were just at?
Actually, it's even south of Anaheim. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so what's the other landmark? What was it, like the President's Hotel or something?
There was the Stewart Hotel.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good landmark.
I'm guessing it's going to be about, depending on traffic, 50 minutes to an hour and a half.
Yes, that's a great landmark, and that's where we'll start. From the Stewart Hotel that we see them drive by to the parking lot that they're in is a 45-minute drive. So we'd have to assume that Dom and Brian were in the car together for 45 minutes. That's crazy thoughts.
So you take 110 to the 405. No, I mean, it's all supposed to take place in the same neighborhood. I don't think it's not, They're making
it's just
making you believe, and this is all and we're there at Stewart Hotel, it's also way inland. I think a lot of this is supposed to take place probably closer to the beach. I think they're basically utilizing, a lot of movies do, the landscape of Southern California just to say, here's a neighborhood that is everything that we need.
He made a good point. The explosion takes place at the Cultural Square. It doesn't take place in the TNK Food Mart parking lot. So, they switched locations to do the blowing up of the car.
Which makes sense.
He gave us one of my favorite things, which these are always fun. We always try to identify, we just found the backpacks and stuff like that. He says if you're interested, they use micro Uzis, and that's the gun that Johnny Tran and his friends are using. He makes note that the car that they blew up was a 96 Eclipse, not a 95. All the other cars in the movie were 95s, including his Eclipse, which was used in the movie for Brian's car, but it was a 96 that they found to gut and blow up. He goes through the whole, how they did it. It's a fun video. Watch that part of it.
And actually, I just linked to it in the notable moments / trivia part of the document. So if you are a patron over there at patreon.com/2fast2forever, I will repost. I should just repost it probably more often than I do, but I will repost the minute document at the top of the Patreon page. So if you want to go check it out, it's
cool.
in there.
Yeah. Last thing Craig Lieberman mentions in his video, NOS is not flammable. Dom yelling NOS, that's not going to explode. NOS is combustible, and you need to heat it to give more oxygen to burn more fuel, but it's in and of itself, it's not flammable. Him yelling NOS doesn't mean anything, and it wouldn't have done anything.
So I can see why Dom would be freaking out about it, because if you're oh shit, that's tuned, there's combustible stuff in there, even if you're not thinking it's going to explode, I can still understand why he's freaked out about it. I can't explain away in the same way why the car actually explodes. I can understand why he would be worried. You know what I mean? Oh, there's crazy stuff in there that might blow up, and that's why you can be freaked
Yep.
out. But then, like, it shouldn't actually blow up. But whatever. Movie magic.
Those were all the cool, fun facts that I got from that minute that I stole all from Craig Lieberman. Go watch his video.
Cool.
It was a pretty cool one. It was quick, too. It was like 6 minutes or something. So
Very cool.
it's fun to check out. Yeah.
And since this is such a dialogue-heavy moment, and then they come and shoot up, and it's all characters that we've seen, we've been following for the last handful of minutes. There's no real new clothing. The trivia question I put here, and this is one. It's a little bit easier, but why does Johnny Tran hate Dom? A,
That's a good
because
one.
Dom slept with Johnny's sister. B, and by the way, we are getting so close to another year of my lifespan, like just a few weeks away.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm very, very. I was thinking about it yesterday when I was outside. I was like, oh man, I can't wait for another year of my lifespan.
B, a business deal went sour. C, Dom beat Johnny in race wars. Or D, both A and B are correct. And of course, both A and B are correct in this situation. Dom slept with Johnny's
And
sister.
C is possibly correct.
Right, but we just don't know that. But yeah, this is a tough question.
Oh, you should put a bonus answer that's both A, B, and C are correct.
Okay. Joe, any other thoughts about minute 30? Nas or no?
I'm sure that's probably one of the most memorable minutes of the movie, right? For most people.
We were doing for a while, or for a couple episodes at least, what was the best minute so far. I still don't think this is the best minute. I think this is a very well contained, because it's sort of like if we had like just ever so slightly more dialogue from earlier, right? Like about who was that, it would be very nicely contained. Like if we sort of shifted up a second or two, that could be cool. But this is another good contained minute where Johnny and Lance are like, no, car, go, boom.
Like I said, I don't think it's the best minute, but I definitely think it's one of the most memorable ones for most people.
So, Joe, let's take a break. Let us bring in Cara to talk about the fate of the Furious. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. Fate of the Furious. This is episode number 65, brought to you by the Naval Submarine School. Naval Submarine School course offerings include Introduction, Apprentice, and Basic Skill Level training. They encompass initial technical proficiency training and advanced team operator and team training in electronic and combat systems employment, navigation, and damage control. Naval Submarine School.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Naval Submarine
Do you know where it is?
Thank you at the top of the show. I'm going to guess Maryland?
Groton, Connecticut, up the street from me. Well,
I
I mean,
was
not
totally gonna guess Connecticut.
All of our sponsors are from Connecticut because Joe just gets served local ads and he reaches out to these companies. They're like, yeah, sure, local boy done good. Absolutely. Here's $250,000 for this episode. Sure, why not?
exactly.
That's definitely how that works.
That voice that you're hearing is from our driving school correspondent. New word. I didn't have a noun in place when I started that sentence, but I landed on correspondent.
That works.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Love
but you
to
know her for the
correspond.
last half of this lap's episodes. We have Cara, Gael, Regan. Hello, Cara.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us once again for the Fate of the Furious.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So now we've got a couple more either or questions.
How long was this movie? That's not an either or question. But
So long. I have no idea. I actually had to watch it on 2 different days. The first half, I ate a really big chicken parm sandwich, and then I had to take a nap. And then, so I watched the rest of it the next day. But yeah, no, it could be 9 hours long.
you're so part of this family with an answer like that. I just really think it.
I was hungry.
Yeah, you were.
You ain't hungry no more, though. I can tell you that much after a chicken parm sandwich. This is the first movie. The reason I ask is this is the first movie in a series where there's sort of like significant differences. Like there was a slight difference in 5. There's a little bit, or maybe in 6. I think there's a slight difference in 6. There's like a minute different in 7. Like in the beginning of 7, Statham's destruction carnage at the hospital is much greater.
Yeah.
But this adds like 12 or 13 minutes.
Oh, you mean the extended cut?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like, but there's, it's the first where there's like significant portion added. And I don't know that I think, Joe, that we're gonna, when we get to Hobbs and Shaw, I need to see what version my Blu-ray is and what the digital copy is, because I think there's gonna be deleted scenes that maybe we've never seen before.
Yeah, we're gonna see new stuff in this one, I'm sure.
So before we get too far into it, before we do the either or questions, I want to ask right off the bat: does recency bias continue? Is this your favorite Fast and Furious movie, or is 7 still your favorite for now?
So much has changed because
Whoa.
when I did that previous rating, I didn't realize that in the series, Brian's not actually dead. I had a complete misunderstanding about what had happened. Now that 7 is garbage because
Wow.
it's so unclear. So
Oh.
that dropped down to the bottom of the list, and this one's towards the
Wow.
bottom too.
So 7's your least favorite?
I don't know.
We got time. You got time. You got
Right.
time.
Nothing
Yeah.
but.
And as I said, it's a breathing list. But yeah, I think at the bottom it's like 7, 8, and 2 in a mad dash towards the bottom.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
The
Okay.
interesting thing about the rankings, and like we sort of hinted at last episode with you, and we're going to, I think, talk about more in detail now that we can sort of talk about what Kate brought up last lap, is that
Yes.
seven basically started for us very near the top, because I think there's a lot of great action. There's the beautiful farewell to Paul, and then when Kate explained her theories, which we will get into, we're like, oh, this is suddenly like not as good of a movie as we thought it was. Like, it's still a fun movie that we really enjoy, especially because it's a Fast and Furious movie, but it like sort of began to slowly descend through our rankings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it descended as I thought about it more, and I thought more about like how lost I was the entire time I was watching it. Like, who are these people? What are they doing? Why is this happening? Had that whole feeling like throughout the movie.
Yes, and I think that this watch, for me, as much as 7 keeps trending down, today, I don't know if it was like the mood I was in. I really think it might be the order we watched them in. But as I was watching 8 this time, I was like, you know what? This isn't that bad.
I mean, I gave it 4.5 stars on Letterboxd, so I mean, it's not that bad. It's nearly a perfect movie in my eyes, but that's not true. But I like you. I enjoyed it, I think, more this time than any other time before.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to start climbing back up the rankings as
I
we
don't
keep
think that's going to
watching
happen.
it.
I think basically the way that I'm looking at it, Joe, is like it's the best possible least favorite Fast and Furious.
And like the beginning is just so perfect. Like that whole Cuba like
Oh, I
storyline.
really enjoyed that part. Yeah.
Cuban Mile.
The Cuban like that whole thing. Like every time I watch this movie, like I'm like, damn, I really like this scene. Like I have some problems with it later and like all the wacky stuff, but like I like it. I'm a big fan.
Generally speaking, Cara, Hobbs and Shaw is kind of difficult for people to rank because number one, it's so new, but number two, it's really so different from all the other movies.
Yeah, it doesn't really
But
fit.
generally speaking, the 3 that people like the least are 2, 4, and 8. So you're pretty close there. You have 7 in there instead of 4, maybe, but 2, 4, and 8 are the ones where people are just like, not necessarily sure. I mean, fans of the series pretty much like them all. I would say on average, 8 is probably the least popular, but 2, 4, and 8 are the ones that people have the most issues with. Consensus-wise, you're right in there.
Yeah.
Like, I think as different as people's opinions of these movies are, especially fans of these movies, it feels like we all have kind of decided, like, oh yes, these are the ones that we like the best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like I think this is a bad movie or that I didn't like it or 7. I did enjoy it a lot. Like I said in the last episode, I had so much fun I cried. That did not happen in this one. But,
You didn't cry at all in this one.
oh no, of course I cried. I just didn't
Okay.
cry
Of joy,
from
tears.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, they're all great. I'm not taking this seriously enough to be like, this is not good.
No, I mean, there's people that really hate this one. The thing that I always say when we talk about 8 is that I had this perception that 4 wasn't that great. But as the other ones came out, 4 becomes the basis of that. And I'm really hoping, and now the more that I watch 8, I think that there's a lot of things that they can build off in 8, and that will start essentially like another trilogy. Like 8, 9, and 10 are linked, and this is how. And I think that we just got the first piece of it, and because like we know, there's not like books or anything that we can be like, oh, it's gonna get better. We just have to like wait it out now.
Yeah, George R. R. Martin's got to get off his ass and write the 7th book. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
The biggest issue I think that Joe and I had, and we haven't had an episode about Fate, I don't think, since this was announced, was we weren't thrilled with how Charlize just literally jumps out of a plane to never be seen again.
Yeah.
We assume she's going to be back, but then I think since the last lap, or just about, they've confirmed that she's coming back for 9. So, like, I think a lot of the things...
If she has like a evil villain arc, it will
Right.
be solved. It will make
So
it.
now it sort of pivots this movie. I think this is sort of what Joe was hinting at. It sort of pivots this movie from being like a lesser installment to somehow like in the MCU, kind of like a building block of a movie. Like this is sort of the groundwork
Well, they all
for the
are.
end game.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think that for a while, like they were more standalone, and then once 4 kicked off the new wave, they sort of became progressively more. You need to see all of these to get the bigger picture.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, the general landscape of how movies get made and how we tell long story arcs has totally changed over the course of this
True.
franchise. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like that trending towards these like long multi-movie story arcs is like part of this like larger thing that's happening.
That's definitely not the vision that they had for it in 2001 when they released the first one.
Who could have possibly imagined?
We just talked about this over on Cruise Club on our Mission Impossible 3 episode, and I kept bringing up the Fast and Furious because it's always on my mind. Mission Impossible 3 is kind of like Fast and Furious number 4. It's not a gritty reboot, but it's kind of like this is now the visual style for the franchise.
Okay.
And then from that point on, more characters just come back. Like in the first few, it's just basically Tom Cruise and Luther, who's played by Ving Rhames. And then from then on, Simon Pegg comes back and Michelle Monaghan comes back and like villains are linked and everything like that. And so exactly what you're saying, Cara, I think that around, 2006-ish when that movie came out, 2008 when Iron Man comes out.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious number 4 came out 2009, right? So like it's in that 3 or 4 year window where they're like, oh, a franchise can be more than just a series of installments. It should be. Maybe.
Yeah. And it was previously unthinkable that like this far into a franchise or like even past a second or third movie that the movies would still be like good and watchable.
Let alone like in these movies getting better, at least to a certain extent, right? So
yeah.
Before we go any further, got 2 either or questions for you. Are you ready for these?
Yes.
Grim one to kick things off. Both at the end here. Would you rather die if you had to pick?
Oh, my favorite kind of question.
Fiery explosion, like at the end of seemingly every movie.
Uh-huh.
Dom at the end of this one, airplane explode, like just things. Everything is always exploding in these movies. Die in a fiery explosion, or drown in icy water.
Ooh, absolutely a fiery explosion. Well, depends. Okay.
I like that you started that with absolutely, and then by the end, like 4 words later, you're like, I'm not so sure. Maybe not absolutely.
Well, no, it
It's a good
depends on the
question.
circumstances. How close am I to the explosion? Am I at ground zero? Or
In it.
am I like further out? I might get burned first.
No,
I
it's
get
not like
some like
shrapnel.
radiation
You're like in
first.
it. You're the man on fire. You're walking out of the. It's very close.
Let's say that the duration of pain is the same for both.
Okay,
That's true.
Because like in cold water, like you'll pass out at a certain
Right.
point.
Yeah.
No, I would probably a fiery explosion.
Okay.
It's more badass.
I don't like being cold
Same.
Yeah.
That's like one of my
and
biggest
wet.
pet
Like
peeves with
being
it.
cold and wet is my least favorite thing to be. So.
Joey, I like that you said same, but you picked icy water, and I picked fiery explosion.
Did we? I don't remember, honestly.
In my
Gemini
head, I would
Nature-
rather do icy water than fiery explosion. Like, it feels like we're both backwards, but
I
it's
flipped.
locked in.
All of these questions, like one day you ask me, you know this, we've done this before. Like one day you ask me, I'm very confidently one way or the other. And like, I hate being cold, I hate being wet. And now that it's like wintertime here, I'm like, fuck that. I would absolutely much rather have a fire explosion.
Yeah, ask me again in the summertime.
And I'd be like, icy water immediately.
All right, Cara, last question. We got 2 more, I think, next episode for Hobbs and Shaw. We got 2 more there. Last question. No premise, no setup. Revenge of the Nerds or The Dark Knight?
I mean, I feel like we've already seen The Dark Knight, basically, in this franchise.
Well, for context, at the very end of this movie, when Roman and Tej are both hitting on Ramsey, and Roman says, "You rather have Revenge of the Nerds or The Dark Knight?" Like, he's calling himself The Dark Knight. He's calling Tej.
But we
Revenge
just
of the
say
Nerds.
like with no context.
But you can answer the question however you want. Like,
Forgot.
which movie you like better?
People
what
have answered
vibe
it
you
many
like
different
more.
ways. Yeah.
I don't like either movie.
You can say neither.
No, I'd go with Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay.
Nice. The Dark Knight is 5 of 7, but
That's a perfect movie, Cara.
Seeing that in the movie theater was the last time I ate popcorn, and then I realized that I cannot eat popcorn. My memory of that movie is somewhat
You just
affected
can't eat
by my
popcorn?
digestive system. Yeah, I like can't digest it, so I wind up vomiting a lot.
Cool.
sick.
It's
Very
fun to
cool.
be me.
Let's talk now about the Fate of the Furious. Let's start with, once again, everyone's favorite game show, That's So Brian.
That's so Brian. Did it.
Now, I've got thoughts here, but before I go, Cara, do you have a pick for number 1? Because Brian's not in this movie.
Right.
Is there a character you think is the most Brian?
Well, it's obviously New Brian, whatever his name is.
Little Nobody?
Yeah, Little Nobody.
Okay.
I was calling him New Brian in my head.
Do you have a moment that is
That's So Brian?
I did write one down.
Is it one of his moments? Because I think I know which one
Yeah.
it is if it's his.
It's definitely his.
It's going to be when he and Mr. Nobody are interrogating Hobbs. Hobbs and Mr. Nobody are kind of having like a little back and forth. Like they're not in agreement because, he's arresting Hobbs. Then Little Nobody brings up Hobbs' daughter. And then that's when Hobbs picks him up by the crotch and the neck and slams him against the wall.
Yeah, because he doesn't know his audience. You don't mess with his daughter. Yeah, that's definitely one of them. And then the one that I wrote down was New Brian gets caught under the scaffolding that falls during
Oh.
that like RC car hijacking sequence. Because like over the radio, they tell everyone to like hold back because this thing is falling, and he doesn't.
Okay.
So just like recklessness, bold
Yes.
recklessness that is also stupid.
Yes.
I thought in this movie, the character that is the most Brian is Dom.
So just like I had last movie, you think Dom here.
I think Dom here because he's like, you know what? Fuck my family. This is the best choice for me. Just screw all their feelings. I'm going to do this to save my son. That's also the most opportunistic. Like that's the best choice for himself.
And his family. I mean, like his son is his family.
Yeah, I know. That's why that part's like a little Dom. He's still caring about his family. But like where I'm just gonna steal the EMP and drive off and not tell anyone that like I'm being accosted by this supervillain. That's the most Brian moment of it. He's just like, fuck you guys. I need to do this for myself.
We see in the beginning of this when Cypher is like, "Oh no, my engine's broken. Please help, please help."
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
a damsel in distress. Yeah.
She shows Dom the phone, and she's like, "You're gonna want to see this." And then she hands him the phone and just drives away. But there's no sound. Is it just Elena with a baby? And if so, like, it's not like, or is there a sign like, "Hey Dom, it's your baby. Like, you are." Is it Maury? It's like you are the father. What is she showing him, like, wordlessly
I
that
know.
is like so gripping? Like, I get on an emotional level that Elena having Dom's son is devastating to Dom because it throws his whole world topsy-turvy. I don't know what she's showing him on the phone screen that is like, that transfixes him where he's unable to
It's
speak
not like
or
a
move,
picture
you know
of
what I mean?
Letty. Yeah.
Right.
That's when he thought she was dead or something. Like that.
It's like he
that
knows
makes
Elena's
sense.
alive.
Yeah.
This is interesting that you pegged this, Joey, in the last episode, and Joe in this one. This is a continuation of his like total loss of like his bearings, I think, that we
Sure.
saw in the
Yeah.
last movie, and that he's like so vulnerable to manipulation.
Well, he never was a really good judge of character. Remember, he was the only one that stuck up
true.
for Brian.
Well, I think this is even like the third one in a row, right? Because it's Letty in the last one, or get it, Letty in 6. It's getting Shaw in this and last one, and now it's Elena here. Like,
Yeah.
he just is so easily manipulated.
Yeah, it definitely
So,
started with Letty.
before I get to my Brian moment, because I think that's a second conversation I want to have a little bit later, let's talk now about Dom and about Dom as heel, Dom as villain. When the movie came out, I think, and like our first discussion about it, we felt like this kind of really betrayed, in a way, betrayed the Dom character, and like he would never do this. It is family, but it's also like a different kind of reaction.
Yeah.
What did you think, Cara, of this? Like, did you see this kind of move coming? Did you like it? Did you appreciate it narratively? Like, how did you feel about Dom being essentially the bad? Like, Cypher's the bad guy, but like, how did you feel about Dom being the bad guy in this movie?
I didn't love it. Definitely feels like a betrayal, although I knew, like, in the end, like, he'll come back around.
It's growing on me.
Well, I feel like there's nowhere, like, this was a natural progression because, like, what we were just talking about with him, like, losing it, over time, and he's becoming, like, more and more reckless and feeling more and more unmoored, susceptible to outside influence.
The way that Joe and I sort of rationalize this, or like are able to kind of defend it, is that it's like, okay, we got this out of our system. We're not going to have this happen again.
Because we got Letty turned on the family.
Right.
We got Dom turned on the family. Like,
Everybody takes a turn.
unless there's like some like Tyrese is an evil mastermind that's been working
Which,
with them
fine.
the whole time.
I love it. Love
Good
to
luck.
see it.
As long as we kill him off at the end of it.
No, he has to come back. I love him.
We haven't killed anybody in a long time.
Do you love Roman in this movie? Because I feel like this is now, it's a phrase we use a lot, but he's becoming more of a caricature than a character in this. Like, I feel like he's turned up the clown even more like this. He still
Yeah.
work for you because Joe loves
Oh,
him here,
totally.
and you did.
Yeah.
You love
Yeah,
him.
I mean, like every single time that I laughed out loud, it was his fault.
I think so too. I really like it. They're just letting him just be like the zaniest version of him. He's automancing into Joker. You know what I mean?
That's very twisted. Talking about the Dark Knight, you're going to make Cara vomit over here. Stop mentioning Joker. So here is my new theory about this movie. And this is my That's O'Brien moment. It's not necessarily a new theory because I think it's sort of an evolution of what we've been talking about.
Okay.
But I think specifically watching for Brian moments, I'm of the mind that there is not a Brian in this movie.
What?
No
That's a
one
hot
really
take.
has a Brian moment because I feel like, and this goes back to Kate's theory, that when Paul died and
Yes.
Brian left the franchise lost its way. Cara, I'm gonna have you, if you would like to, go back to episode I think 44, which is our Lap 4 Furious 7 episode with Kate Hudson, Brian's friend Kate Hudson, and she talks about how a lot of the plot lines that she sees in 7 and 8 she feels changed that were supposed to be for
They're
Brian.
retconned.
She thinks, this is her idea, and we both love this
I
idea.
love it. Yeah.
That Elena being pregnant in 8 was planned, but it was originally going to be Mia. And so that Mia was going to get captured because she's pregnant. She announces that she's pregnant in 7.
Yeah.
And so it was going to be her. And so this whole like Dom against the family
Was
kind
gonna
of
be
is like,
Brian.
well, how do we solve this? They might have an end game for 7, 8, 9, 10. You have to literally rewrite everything because your star dies. It's sort of a foundation of that, a basis on that, building from that, where everything changes a little bit. Like the plot, like the things that happen might be the same, but the characters involved are different. Between that and the fact that Brian, as a character, was always kind of the entry point. Like, even though you're not crazy about Brian, he's sort of the audience surrogate. Like, we're still watching through his eyes. Without him, the franchise kind of doesn't have an entry point. And it feels like, and this is my into That's So Brian, like building off Kate's theory, because there's no more grounded character, everything in this movie is turned up to 11. Roman is more of a joker than ever before.
Yep.
Hobbs and Shaw are now literally everything is just bravado. Like, they're joking about it. Like, there's a line where they, I'm going to punch your teeth so far down your throat that, like, you're going to stick a toothbrush up your ass to brush them or whatever. And they laugh about it in the movie because it's ridiculous. But every line like that, like, there's no grounding in reality. Like, everyone is just whatever they are to the max.
Yeah.
And Dom is now to the max in terms of just, like, family to 11, right? And I feel like because Brian is no longer there to tether anyone to reality, there's not really a Brian character because no one is realistic anymore. I feel like everyone across the board is now maybe automanced to the highest level, which is disappointing, but also I think kind of proves Kate's theory maybe even more correct.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think also if it had been Letty in this one that was kidnapped, it would make more sense. It would make a lot more sense to me that Dom would go rogue to save her.
Mia was pregnant. We get Mia kidnapped in this one, and the whole family, nobody goes against the family. It's like the whole family has to go rescue Mia.
Right.
But I can see that happening, or I can also see that Brian goes away. Like because Brian has
Brian
a
does
history,
the
like a
Dom.
proven history of
Yeah.
turning against people who are supposed to trust him, right?
Right,
Like,
because he has
turning against
no
the cops.
morals.
But the
Yeah,
thing is,
exactly.
the family would know if Mia was gone. Elena's like a silent character. Like, she doesn't...
That's true.
She's not really
So
involved.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Brian going rogue,
Same.
but I could also see Dom doing it. Like, I would have an easier time Dom doing it for that than doing it for some woman that he used to date who now has a child that may or may not be his. You know what I mean?
That's the big question.
What I almost blabbed last episode, then I saved myself when I was like, oh, Elena being pregnant, whatever. Like, it almost makes more sense narratively, because this is where the timeline gets fuzzy. Because, like, we're thinking about when did Elena and Dom, when conceivably could they have slept together? Like, how long, when does
So
this movie
6.
take place?
It's like the beginning
Right.
of 6.
Like, it almost makes more sense to me that, like, Hobbs and Elena, when they were co-workers, slept together one night. You know what I mean? But, like, it's clearly Dom's baby. Like, it timeline-wise makes more sense to be, like, literally anyone else's, but narratively it has to be Dom's. But it doesn't really make sense. Like, I just don't understand it.
As much as we're like, it needs to be Dom, it really doesn't. Like, it could have been Brian, it could have been Hobbs. Like, Hobbs could be... They could have to stop Hobbs from joining Cypher.
Oh, I'm sure that'll happen in a future movie.
I don't
Like
know.
I said, everyone at some point, like, because this is, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this without sounding condescending, but like this is very much like a soap opera.
Oh, it's 100% a
Yeah.
soap opera.
Yeah, and like, which I don't say as like a insult at all. I just mean that like on a soap opera, like they go on for a long time, and eventually you start reaching for stories and things get weird, and sometimes people have evil twins, or they die and they come back
Yep.
to life, or they they go evil for some reason. Like by the end of this franchise, like everyone will have gone through some sort of like weird transition, and may or
hope
may not
so.
come
I
back
can
from
only
it.
hope so.
Yeah.
In 9, we got to get like some wacky Tej and Roman type things, right?
Yes.
I don't think they're important enough. Like, I think that's the problem. I think that they've
That's a
exhausted
mistake.
all of their big plays, right? Even
That's
if
what I'm
Hobbs
saying.
goes rogue, I don't know that narratively it has as much weight, because Hobbs is sort of family, but also not really. Like, he's just, like, he would have to come against
We
them.
already killed someone off and revived them. We had somebody go rogue.
We have not had an evil twin, so just
I've
saying.
said this. I've pitched that before. I want evil Dom versus regular Dom. The Zelda mirror link. Every move is the exact same, and he's fighting himself literally.
Because this movie, it's not Dom, it's really not Dom against the family. It's Dom going evil and then the family trying to stop him. Like, we pitch it, like, the summation is Dom against the family, but that's not it. It's not like he's, like it's not like he's harming the family. He's just doing what he has to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's a
because
weird...
he also like hasn't gone evil.
Right.
He's gone rogue, but he hasn't gone evil
Yes.
because he's not like, yes, I'm doing this to harm people. He's like, no, I'm doing this to save my baby, my family, and like, unfortunately, these other people that I care about are kind of caught in the crossfire.
And he's
Crossfire.
Oh, yeah.
oh god, and he's like, yeah, that's perfect. Sorry, I know that's what I was thinking. Crossfire threw me way off. I'm deeply in a commercial
You'll
right
get caught up in the...
Crossfire.
But Cara, what did you like about this movie? Like, did you? I mean, I know that you enjoy, because maybe it's to the point where you're like us, where it's just like, hey, this is maybe not my favorite Fast and Furious movie, but it's still a Fast and Furious movie, and I still enjoy the characters, and I'm still gonna have a fun time watching it. Like, what did you like about this movie? Are there parts or moments or scenes that you really found yourself enjoying this time?
Well, I did really like the part where they were in Cuba.
It's a nice soft entry back into it after all the gravity that Seven had. So like for them to come in, they bring it back, they do some fan service, they give us a race. It's 4 car. Dom does all the cliche Fast and Furious lines. It's not what car it is, not what you got under the hood, it's who's driving. You get a new Toretto, so you learn that the family's like extended. It's like really soft, and that's what we got.
To circle back to my ongoing point about these movies being time capsules or products of their time, in 2016,
No, this is 2017.
17,
Yeah.
right around then was like when they kind of like, or shortly before then was when they like opened up the Cuban border a bit more, which like enabled them to actually like go there.
And we talked about this before that Dom went to Cuba just because he could. Like it was like right as it was opening or as it was about to reopen. Maybe we were just, like there was talks about it. And he was like, oh, we're going to go shoot a movie in Cuba because like we're the biggest fucking movie in the world right now. So obviously we can go do whatever the hell we want. And they like let him do it.
Yeah, and it has like such good Caribbean flavor to it. Like the colors are really
Yeah.
beautiful, and the costumes are fun. Cuba is so has such a unique and renowned car culture of its own. It only makes sense that these movies would wind up there eventually.
It's because they have all the old cars that they've salvaged forever now that like it's just like a time capsule in and of itself for cars. So
A little problematic, but I did enjoy the little girls' haka dance before their soccer game.
Oh, wonderful.
yeah, we were gonna. That
I
was
did
what
cry.
That's what Joey was mentioning last time. He's like, if you don't like Hobbs yet, you see him in a real character light. But
Yeah.
he becomes like a person when you see the soccer dance.
I don't know if I'd say a person.
Daddy's staying home, Cara.
I enjoyed Daddy Rock. I also enjoyed wacky Uncle Jason Statham.
Well, then you are going to love Hobbs and Shaw. I can
It's a
tell you
movie
that.
made for you then.
Is it a two men and the baby situation?
No, but no. Jason Statham with the baby is maybe the finest moment in any Fast and Furious movie ever. Like,
Yeah.
it is the greatest action scene. It's
is
him
really
being
fun.
adorable with the baby. Like, it's
What a
basically
cute
Vin
baby.
Diesel in The Pacifier, but condensed to a single scene. Like, we don't have to sit through an entire movie of, like, Vin with a kid. It's just, hey, this is Statham with a kid for 2 adorable minutes. Get it out of your system. Enjoy it. Love it. But no, you're going to love Hobbs and Shaw because it's basically, it has the stakes, eventually, of a Fast and Furious movie. They're saving the world because that's what they do. But at the same time, it's just them being them, again, like this extreme, like even more
It's
so.
a buddy
And
cop movie, essentially.
And what's nice about
Love a
it,
buddy movie in general.
they shed so much of the excess. Like we were talking about last episode, there are so many family members that in that movie, they kind of strip it down to like 4 or 5 people you have to care about. And it's like, oh, this is nice. Like I don't have to worry about a dozen people. This is just a core group of people that are all very fun and very attractive.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot more lighthearted. That was something that I liked too. Of course, like Joey said, the gravity is that, they have to save the world, obviously. The stakes for most of the movie aren't as high.
And I guess that the other thing that I did like about this movie is that this one has like a nice James Bond flavor to it. Whereas I said the last one kind of felt like Doctor Who, this was a real James Bond movie.
In what regards?
Just going to Russia,
Okay.
like that in general, it feels very James Bondy. I don't know, just felt James Bondy.
I want to say now that you brought up Russia, this is the first time I ever realized that they drive through Times Square in this movie. This is the 5th watch we've watched it, and this was the first time that I was like, oh shit, they're in New York. For as much as they emphasize the settings in a lot of these movies, like we go to Dubai, Russia, all of these things, the New York part is like very flat.
Oh, you think so? I don't know. I like recognized a lot of the intersections. So I was like, oh, that's where that is.
Yeah, like I get that part of it, but at the same time, like they drive through Times Square, and this is the first time I noticed it.
I don't think
Really?
I did notice it.
I mean, it's the Shibuya crossing of New York.
I know. That's what I'm
But they
saying.
didn't drift through it, did they?
The caravan, the Russian dignitary caravan, is coming through, and there's like people taking like selfies, and I had no idea. My brain just like totally blocked it out until this watch.
Cara, can you hear the word caravan and not think of your name? Because I can't now.
The
I
caravan.
don't generally think about that, no.
Your Barbie dream van, your caravan.
Oh, man.
Ah.
Cara, is there any fashion of note in this movie? Anything about? I mean, this is again we're reaching a point where like it's not really a time capsule as I mean, there's the Cuba being open. And I think that point is very valid. Like I'm not trying to disagree with what you just said, but I feel like in terms of fashion, like I know every season things change, but like we're kind of now. It's not like there's wild differences, but any particular looks or any kind of things you love or hate?
We'll look back on this in, say, 10 years and be like, oh my God, this is so 2017. Even though I can't quite put my finger on what exactly that means.
It's like it's a lot of like LL Bean for me in this movie. You know what I mean? It's like
Did not
it's,
notice any yellow. Actually, you know what? I have it on in the background right now. They're driving through Russia. Tyrese is wearing a puffy jacket and a hat.
it's like that. There's like a lot of like green, like army green pants. It's like a lot
Actually,
of
yeah.
like active wear, but like hiking wear. It feels like REI to me. That's what I think
Interesting.
will set it in this time period.
Yeah, athleisure.
Not athleisure in the sense of like girls in
Yoga
yoga
pants.
pants, but like yes,
Hey,
athleisure.
athleisure is a very broad category.
I know. I was going to use that word, but I didn't want to. In my head, it draws straight to girls in yoga pants.
Well, I think that's true for everyone, but
It is-
like the largest segment in fashion, I think. But yes, you're definitely right about that. There's also a lot of like leather details on their jackets and stuff, patches
Ooh, oh
and
yeah.
stuff like that I noticed. I feel like Letty and Cypher wear the same shirt. Letty,
Interesting.
it's this like open white drapey, just colored shirt. Letty wears it in Cuba, and then Cypher is just wearing it on the plane.
Interesting. I never
Yeah.
noticed that. I never pieced those together.
It's a great shirt because, like, when Letty's on the motorcycle, another outfit which I do truly love, it's like flying behind her like a cape.
Now that Cara's love for Los Bandoleros is like instilled in my brain, like burned into my brain, I feel like another reason why the opening works so well is because you have
Of course.
Dom and Letty in their carefree, lovey-dovey
Yeah,
on vacation
that's
mode.
the vibe in this franchise. It's my favorite vibe.
I understand that like these movies essentially are all going to end with like, hey, things are fine, let's have a barbecue. But like, I kind of would be okay with the whole movie of just like, hey, let's hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a Dom and Letty, just like fun time vacation film.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Like a
you know?
rom-com.
They've been through a lot. Yeah.
No, but like even lower stakes than a rom com. Like I don't want tension and drama. I just want them to be like mostly naked, just hanging out, just enjoying life.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Into the Blue without the robbery. On the note of most Brian moments, specifically in the Dom most Brian moment, him kissing Cypher in front of Letty seems like a very Brian move to me too.
Well, do you remember? This is something that you were both in my house when we found this out. But Dom was on I think Ellen's talk show.
Yes.
And they were talking about Fate of the Furious, and she's like, Charlize Theron says you're a really bad kisser. He's like, what? And he like got up and like lost his mind. But like it's supposed to be like a dead fish of a
I don't
kiss. Like,
remember
he's
learning
supposed to
about
not.
this.
Yeah, he was on Ellen. He's like talking about because Charlize did an interview and she said that he's a shitty kisser. Like when
How
they like
rude.
talked about the movie or something. Yeah.
But like it's supposed to be like he's not supposed to be into it because he's in front of the woman he loves,
Yeah.
being manipulated to get back a love child essentially that the love of his life doesn't know about yet.
That's a non-consensual kiss that happens.
But like that's not his fault. Like I don't think that's a Brian moment. That's just like a
No, but I think that him just going along with it and not even trying to like signal to her that he didn't want this is like a very Brian moment. He just like, I'm here. I guess this is happening.
This is my life now.
There's a point where like Letty's like, I don't know who that is, but that's not Dominic Toretto or whatever, right? And like I don't know whatever.
Yes.
And at the end she's like, that's Dom. He's back now. There's got to be a moment in that scene, and maybe just narratively so that we're invested or whatever. But it'd almost be more interesting if like as Charlize turns and walks away, Dom like quickly like winks to Letty or
That's
something.
what I
like,
think so. That's what I'm saying.
Hint at
Yes.
something that you're
Blows
not
her a
just
kiss.
a corrupt asshole.
No, he needs to like give her like this the real serious eyes where he just like looks at her like, "Yo, get me the fuck out of here. I'm not doing this on my own accord."
But if he gave her those eyes, then she would be like, we gotta go get him.
They do that anyways.
Yeah, I think intuitively they know, but I feel like it should have it betrays the character more to keep up the narrative tension that he doesn't do anything. Like in that situation, there's got to be a moment where he like, especially to Letty, because they're
Pass her
closer
a
than
note,
anybody, right?
something. Like, I'll explain later.
It's one of those things where it kind of feels convenient just to keep up tension. Like, it doesn't feel true to the world.
I agree with you.
I have one thing, and Cara, I'm so sorry that you're not going to understand what this means unless you watched Fast and Furious Spy Racers,
Oh, God.
the new Netflix series. But Joe, I caught a connection here.
What was it? Good, tell me.
And it dealt with our hierarchy. So, Cara, in Fast and Furious Spy Racers, the new Netflix series, there was a character named Ms. Nowhere. She talks about how she used to be nothing, and then she has been promoted to nowhere. And then we were talking about how nobody is probably like the highest
tier.
up, or maybe there's people above him that we don't even know about. But like Mr.
Oh
Nobody on
yeah,
the hierarchy,
Mr. Nobody's a real mid-level manager.
below him there's a nowhere, and then below him, or below that level, below that tier is nothing. We see little nobody before he's named when he's interviewing Hobbs, and then they go to that room where there's a joke about Ramsey being a 10, blah 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 blah. They say, "Who is he?" about little nobody, and Kurt Russell, Mr. Nobody, says, "Who him? He's like nothing. He's less than me." So I'm thinking nothing lower than him. He's the entry level. He's like the entry. He's the nothing. Then there's the nowhere, and then there's the nobody. So it's a throwaway line unless they have this hierarchy of this shadow organization planned out. He says he's like nothing. It makes sense now in this world that you and I are building. That
Yes.
maybe they built already. I don't know.
I think it's gonna come back. They're gonna have to address it at some point. They keep answering all of our questions. I know that they're listening.
I think that was the only other note that I took on this, because I was saying to Joe before we started recording, Cara, that like I like it less than the other ones, and so I feel like the less attention I pay to it, like I still watched it and I still brought it in, but like the less I pay attention, the more I enjoy it. So I don't have a lot of fresh thoughts here. That's also part of the reason why I liked it more than ever before, because I didn't let the nitpicks
Yes.
overcome the overall vibe of hey, it's a Fast and Furious movie.
When I was watching Dom and the Ice Charger, I was thinking like, I cannot wait until we have to do the minute on that part, because he had so many buttons and they're all labeled. And I was like, I want to know what all of these mean, and like to stop it and to really break down everything.
I also
that's
can't
in
wait
his
for you to
console.
have to read all the Russian buttons.
I don't think that we really see them that much. Like, there's only like, it's a quick shot.
Well, we're going to find out in literally hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
Alan Mirren also brings a little bit of James Bond flavor to this. She
Did
just
you
came
like
on
her?
screen again. Oh, I loved her. Devil's Bumhole or something.
She's a great character. We were talking about this when we watched the last one. They mention his dad, and we never get to see his dad. And I wonder if Shaw's dad is going to come in, become a factor in these somehow. We get his mom now. We see his brother. Get some more Shaws. So
Well, also, like, her existence, her being there, made me think, like, we know about Dom's dad because he's talked about him. Has he talked about his mother? Do we know anything at all about her?
we have another Spy Racers theory.
Spy Racers is about Dom's cousin Tony Toretto.
Who's
Who
like a
is
young
not a
cousin.
character.
He's like 16 or 17.
Different cousin than the one that we see in this movie.
Yes, he's not Cuban.
He tells a story about how there's a parakeet that Dom saved from like a burning fire after a ribs incident, so once again barbecue, but it was Tony's Aunt Molly's parakeet. And we were wondering, because they are cousins, is Aunt Molly Dom's mother, or is it just a shared Aunt Molly? Is it a friend of the family? But it feels like we might have a name for Dom's mother.
And she might have had parakeets that
Interesting.
Dom rescued from a fire, in which case their house burnt down twice. Or exploded once and burnt down once, but it happens.
Who's counting? Interesting. That's my
Yes.
grandmother's name.
Molly?
Yep.
I like that name.
Cara, any other thoughts about The Fate of the Furious? I mean, this is not, like, we're at a point now in the podcast where, like, we almost can talk freely about anything, but we can't really talk because, like, there's so much, because this is essentially sort of like a prequel to Hobbs and Shaw. They're like, hey, could these characters spin off and become their own thing? So, like, a lot of what they're doing here is kind of amplified in that one. Anything that you have not covered yet that you want to cover before we can sort of speak freely next episode about all of the things when we talk about Hobbs and Shaw?
What's with Mr. Nobody's rules?
Rules?
Yeah, he has so many rules in this movie. They talk about it like multiple times.
Yeah, about
Rule
like the
number
cars you can and
one,
can't drive and all that sort of stuff, right? And
rule
like,
number two, and
yep,
then there are no rules. I
yep.
just feel like that has some sort of significance.
I think that they're just framing his military like subservience by making him more rigid. Like they're just trying to show you that now that Hobbs has found the gray area in life, Mr. Nobody has to have more rules.
But I feel like Mr. Nobody's whole thing is that like he exists outside the system, and so there are no rules, which eventually we do get to.
Yeah. We have like a little throwaway line near the end. And I wonder if this is a hint for 9, but it's the first time that I noticed it and was paying attention to it. As they're at the barbecue, they say, "What about Cypher?" or something like that. Mr. Nobody goes, "Oh, she was spotted in Athens, so maybe we're going to Greece next."
Ooh, that would be fun.
It's a place we haven't been to yet. It would make a lot of sense.
It
These
has a history
movies
to
always
it.
make me so hungry. I was craving Cuban food in this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
definitely.
gonna be
I don't
wanting
remember
to
if it was
eat
last
some Greek
lap
food.
or the lap before, but I definitely paused this movie to go get a Cuban sandwich while watching this movie because I was like, I need that pressed ham and pickle.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
Cuban food is so good.
But I wonder, Jill, like, I think that's a good idea. I think it depends on how quickly after 8, 9 happens. Like, if it picks up immediately after, we could go to Greece.
We've essentially established that like these movies are now happening like weeks apart. Like as much as they take 3 years to make, like the timeline with Elena getting pregnant in 6 at the beginning of 6 and then having the baby like right before 8. The timeline is condensed. It's not happening in the same time that it's happening for us.
Time is just a construct.
Flat
Yeah.
circle.
Because I could also see them being like, we're going to take some time off, like the family needs a breather, and then like something bad happens. Cypher's still out there, but there's not a lot of other loose threads. Like, it feels like kind of for a little bit, we're at a stasis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because she's not on the plane, so she can't really like do all of her hacking stuff yet. They could give him like a year off, like a summer.
And I think now that especially now that there's a kid, it'll be interesting to see how old the kid becomes. You know what
That's
I mean?
what
Like,
that's going to be hugely telling. I agree.
whether it'll still be a baby or a toddler or, in school or whatever.
He could be like 5, because Brian's kid is in school by the time we see Brian's kid. Because he goes from like she's having the baby to like Brian's dropping him off at school in a minivan.
During the New York part, I was like, and we thought traffic was bad that day that Chris Christie closed the George Washington Bridge.
Oh,
Imagine how bad the traffic would be on the day where they remotely hijack hundreds of cars and drive them all over the city.
depends on where you're trying to go. Because if you're trying to go with the caravan, it would probably be the best traffic day ever. It'd be like the only day that you got through New York City with like no stoplights and shit.
Oh, I'm a little bit worried about their brains. They all seem to have sustained multiple concussions in like every movie.
This is the first time I've noticed it in this one too. Dom flips all their cars in that like rodeo lasso situation. Tyrese's car gets flipped over. Like Letty smashes into someone. Like they all should sustain head damage.
Cypher has that like concussion bomb too.
Yeah, very, very true. They're like very fluid with these concussion symptoms, and I find it troubling.
I also find it troubling. I'm worried about them.
Yeah, this can't be sustainable. Like we need to get them into a dark room, put them in concussion protocol. They have to sit out for a couple of weeks and like really get healthy, or they're gonna have like they might get CTE or something. This would be bad.
Yeah, because also I mean the effect is cumulative, and in every
Exactly.
movie they're just jostling those brains around.
Tej Parker, questionable for Fast and Furious 9.
What? Oh yeah, it listed as questionable.
Parentheses, head.
The women in this movie are more active participants in what's going on. I mean, the bad guy is actually a bad lady. And then you also have the like Dom v. Letty going head to head situation.
And Ramsey's
Yep.
like an actual person. We're moving the right way, I think.
Yeah.
It might make more sense to save this for Hobbs and Shaw, but where, in terms of the villains in the franchise, where would you say Cypher ranks? Do you think she's one of the better ones, one of the worst ones?
I
It's
don't
cool to see a
know.
female villain, but where do you think in terms
Yeah.
of the story, in terms
she's
of
so
everything?
flat. She plays it so flat. She is showing range in this part because she like very purposefully is keeping it so close to the vest for most of the movie, and then towards the end she starts to like lose it. She's yelling, she's getting upset. We know she can do better.
Right.
You know.
We were saying that we hope that this was a director's choice to make her kind of like closed off, to be hackery and like mysterious.
Yeah, and I totally get that reasoning. It's just like you're gonna hire Charlize Theron to be a bad guy, and like this is all you're gonna have her do.
Yeah, not let her flex. The problem that we said before is that her menace is hacking, so it's just like, I'm going to show them. Tap, 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 tap.
What are you gonna do? Email her?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
It is hard to add action and intrigue to computer sports. I do enjoy that this is like kind of borderline hackers.
It's heading that direction.
You know who would have made a great villain for this? Angelina Jolie
Yep.
as her character from
Gone in
Hackers,
60
all
Seconds.
grown up.
Oh,
I've not seen Gone in 60 Seconds since it came out, so I
because
don't
her
remember that
basically
at
her
all.
visual aesthetic in
Is Angelina
Gone in
Jolie
60
in it?
Seconds is Charlize in this movie.
Is that what's going on with her hair? Because I have so
Yeah.
many questions about the hair.
Are you in favor of white girl dreadlocks or no?
Absolutely not. Although it does seem like maybe they'd be easier to manage. Like you wouldn't get tangled hair I don't know. I hate them. Looks horrible. She went on the plane, has this crazy hairdo where it's like a half up situation with two buns on the back of her head and then a braid down the back. It's crazy. What's going on? Why so many things?
I think they're trying to say that
She has too much time on her hands?
too much. I think that it's playing into the to give you that Dom line where he's like, your eyes are probably brown, your hair is fake.
That
And I
she's
think they're
so manufactured.
yeah, that they're trying to give her like as much hair accessories and like extensions and shit that they can, so that when Dom delivers that line, you've definitely noticed that she's had so much hair. We were talking about before we started the episode, like if she had goofy eyebrows, if she had wacky teeth, I wouldn't notice it. But if you put her like if you put two buns on the back of her head, I'm gonna be like something's off. You know what I mean? Like that's when I'm gonna start to notice.
Cara, are you ready to see what Charlize's hair looks like in Fast and Furious 9?
Yes. Oh no. I thought we were done with this haircut.
No, it's back. It's back, baby.
In a
Oh,
big way.
When she posted that, she's like, Cypher's ready, or Cypher's ready for revenge, or something like that. and
boy.
both Rachel,
So
Joe's
is her
wife,
hairdresser, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe's wife, Rachel, and one of our biggest writer-inners and listeners, Wes Hampton, both said, I'd like to see your manager, please, because this looks like the Karen.
Yes.
Let me see your manager haircut.
Yeah, it's very Midwestern.
I mean, I appreciate in a weird way, but I also would rather not see it, that, like, one of the most beautiful women to have ever lived is just, like, keep giving me the worst haircuts.
I love it. Yeah, I do appreciate that.
I need to be less attractive. Can you give me a really bad haircut so that people don't notice me?
I mean, she rocked the Furiosa look. She can look good in anything, but still, like,
True.
let her glam it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, also her blue eyes in this, like, too blue.
They're such a fake. It's like such a CGI blue.
Well,
like,
it's supposed to be because she's wearing contacts.
I know, but it's like
And
annoyingly
colored
fake.
contacts actually do look creepy and bad. I had a pair once, like a long, long time ago when they were still kind of new, and they were horrifying looking. Because my eyes are really dark, so it was just like this green plate on top of my eyeball.
It's so
very
weird.
weird.
Yeah, I don't know how I could deal with it.
Keep waiting, bitch. I really enjoyed that. That made me laugh out loud. Oh, the prison riot, too. The prison riot was so balletic. I really appreciated that about
And
it.
the
It was
music is
beautiful.
cool.
Yeah.
I think that that's something that I noticed this time too, is that this has a really great soundtrack. It's not like a lot of like iconic songs, but it's really well timed. The music that they pick for this movie fits really, really well, and I like the energy that they did a good job selecting it. The Hobbs and Shaw soundtrack we love.
Joe, let me tell you, it sounds great on vinyl.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did get the vinyl of it. That's absolutely right. I forgot. The Hobbs and Shaw soundtrack is really great too, Kara. I was like a huge to the point where like I came back and was like, I need to listen to some of these songs. Like they're fucking good. Idris Elba raps on it a bunch.
One of the things we not talk about, Spy Racers. Like Spy Racers had a surprisingly good soundtrack too. Like there's a lot of like hip hop and like it fit in the world, but it was also for kids. Like it worked. Like I thought that was
Yeah.
really good. Like they nail the music in these movies pretty well.
We relate to 2001 because it had a lot of iconic songs, but that's what we were listening to. Like I'm pretty much like out of the pop loop right now. So like this, like hearing these, I'm like, damn, you guys picked some really good songs. Because like normally the pop songs that I do catch in commercials and stuff like that aren't these. Like they fit the mood still. So
Last, but certainly not least, Dom, when they're in Cuba, he's like, when he runs into Cypher for the first time, he's taking Letty a baguette and a single rose in a tote bag.
yes,
Oh yes, we have noticed this before. It is wonderful and romantic.
I mean that's the way to a girl's heart, right?
100% the way to mine. Yeah.
I mean Rachel would feel the same way. Like one rose and a loaf of bread. She'd be like,
I don't love roses. I think they're a little boring, especially those
And she
standard
does
red
too.
ones.
yeah, she does too.
But
That's funny you say that.
I just love flowers, so I'll take bread. Better be good though.
Is this the first hashtag flower report in any of the movies?
Oh, I think it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there's like that garden that they walk through in the last one, but I wouldn't consider that like flowers.
Well, the rooftop garden that they have the barbecue in at the end of this one is nice. I like the way that they shot New York.
They did a pretty good job, but it also is like such a non-factor for a Fast and the Furious movie. That's what kind of took me for a loop.
Yeah.
Like usually like the setting is like a big piece of all of this, and this was like just such a casual background scene.
When they were driving across a bridge, I was really missing that Jay-Z song. They needed to use that. If you're gonna have a movie in New York and they're
Like
gonna be
in
doing,
New York, like the one with
yeah,
Rihanna?
I think
It's
it's
Alicia
Alicia
Keys.
Keys.
Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
They got the money to license it.
yeah. But that's all I got.
Well, it's time to play This Ain't No 10-Second Race, aka Boy, Do We Have a Podcast for you. So last episode, Joe, I found Joe Zimmerman at Joe Zimmerman, the end of a decade. Here are my top 10 Dwayne Johnson movies of the 2010s. He counted them all down in there: Fate of the Furious, Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Furious 7, Fast 5. Boy, do we have a podcast for you? Nothing.
Damn.
Joe, you found Brad Mahomes at Brad Mahomes, my top movies. Top 4 in the order, rest are not. In there, Tokyo Drift. In there, The Fast and the Furious. Some other movies. Boy, we said,
We have
we have a podcast for you. It was liked by, not him, it was liked by Liam McCarthy, who I do not know, who does not follow us. I don't know how he found this. I'm going to give you a half a point, I think.
Okay, no.
No, because the goal was always to get likes from the person we were tweeting at.
I thought it was just to get likes and retweets.
I don't remember. It's a shifting game.
It's
I'll give you a point. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Go up to 16. I'm at 9.5. Kara's at 8.
Okay.
Kara, you found Jay Holtham at Jay Holtham. I think this might be the first time ever that like all three names are just the ats. So today I got teary-eyed at Jennifer Hudson's performance in Cats and the Paul Walker tribute at the end of Fast and Furious, or at the end of Furious 7. I lose at the overhead shot of the car separating every time. This is my most on-brand day. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Kara, Jay Holtham liked the tweet.
Hell yeah!
There you go. Another point. You're just crushing this game.
Kara, you are now, once again, breathing down my neck, half a point behind me, 9.5 to 9.
All right.
So now,
I got
this
a good
time
one
around,
today.
Kara, you sent through your tweet. Please share with us the wonder that is Charlie Fisher.
At Charlie F_music. And it's just a list tweet that reads, Little Women, Too Little, Two Women, Little Women colon Tokyo Drift, Little and Women, Little Five. This one's my favorite. Furious Women, Women 7, The Fate of the Women.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
Boy,
I love
do
some Little
we.
Women content.
So it's a wonderful tweet. This is also another meme that you see a lot. This is like when people use the thing. Like, we're going to see people are not using Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know if that fits in. I don't know. You could do Joe and Amy. You could do Joe and Meg. Like, there's so many opportunities here, right? So,
Yeah.
I think it would be Amy and Aunt March.
oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
All right.
I haven't seen the new one yet, but
Not
I'm
Amy and
big.
Lori.
Toss Lori off a cliff.
Joe, did you find a tweet yet?
Yes, I'm posting it here. It's from Chuck Bartowski at ZAFRY31. Fast and Furious 9, 2020. Dawn Team versus Cypher. Antheon or The Rock will make a cameo. Hobbs and Shaw 2, 2021. The Rock, Statham, Kevin Hart, and Ryan Reynolds teaming up to fight Antheon.
Oh, I think it's supposed to be Etion. I think he's spelling it
I
wrong.
know.
I think this is
I'm
Etion.
reading
Okay,
it
okay.
as it is. Read it as it lies.
I think you're actually adding in an N that isn't there. You've been
Atheon?
saying Antheon. But
Oh,
it's
God damn it. Stop Racheling me. Fast and Furious 10, 2022. Dawn Team and The Rock Team will fucking team up to fight Aeth. And it's
Atheon.
Atheon.
I like that
Yeah.
you pronounce it differently and still wrong.
Yeah.
So we already have a reply from Charlie Fisher. It says, "Sir, I am a homosexual."
fair
So,
point.
Kyle, you just got 5 points.
Oh, really? So I'm winning now.
But we need to respond to this. How do you want to respond to this?
Let me think about it.
I also like, Joe, that this tweet that you found from Zafri31 ascribes to your they're going to move Fast and Furious 10 back and slot Hobbs and Shaw 2 in between.
I think so.
I'm not going to do this one because I think it's the middle of the night over in Japan, or maybe, yeah, it's whatever, but I just found this one. It's just, in Japan, just trying to hear Tokyo Drift in the club, which I just, think is a great tweet.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I searched Hobbs and Shaw on Twitter, and everybody's doing their countdown of their favorite or least favorite. All right, I'm going to do this one. Joseph Stewart at JStewart__. I was able to rewatch Hobbs and Shaw and finish Alan Taylor's new book on my flight to AHA 20. It's called balance.
What's AHA 20?
I don't know. Probably a conference of some kind.
I would guess so. I just didn't know which one it was.
American Historical Association. I mean,
Interesting.
Sounds fun.
I say this in the most loving way. This seems like the kind of nerd who would like a podcast.
Yeah.
And or may not know how to listen to one.
Get into NYC a day early for AHA 20. What are your top 3 public historic sites to visit?
Times
All
Square.
of the intersections
Times Square.
that they drive through in this movie.
Exactly.
We're going to play Dude, What's My Car? So we did not get one sent in, Joe. Cara, I'm going to let you decide. Based on how I describe it, I'm guessing you're going to want to give clues because it's an old car. But when I went home to my parents' house on New Year's Eve,
Okay.
my dad was watching The Twilight Zone because there's a Twilight Zone marathon on New Year's Eve on Sci-Fi because there always is.
Sounds good.
He had paused the TV and he was trying to figure out what something on a car said. Like there was text on a car and we deciphered what it was. And I found the car online.
Okay.
And so it's a car from an original run of Twilight Zone, so you have that era, sort of. And I found the car online, I found a version of the car online that we're going to guess. Cara, do you want to, keeping in mind that this is a car from the 50s, do you want to give clues or guess clues?
Yeah,
car
let me
from the
give some
50s.
clues.
My favorite era of cars that I know nothing about.
It's rare to me that, like,
Okay.
a car makes an actual appearance in my life, you know what I mean? Like, that there's
Yeah.
a reason for me to think about something.
Okay, yeah, I get it. It was on the Twilight Zone. It's a car from the 50s. Is it black and white?
No, but it's a great color.
It's blue.
I love
Okay.
it.
It is American.
Okay,
It's from 1955.
okay.
What a cool car.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
I believe there's a V8 because in the front there's a V8
huge.
logo. It kind of looks, and I know this is a very bad thing because I'm supposed to be describing it. It kind of looks like if a PT Cruiser and an ambulance and a hearse had a baby.
Yeah. Or something driven by like a milkman.
Okay, so it has like a huge hatch.
Yes. And
Okay.
it's a two-door car, but it's not like a two-door sedan. Like it's like a truck-y kind of thing.
Okay.
It looks like there's wood paneling inside, like actual wood paneling.
It's kind of like a pickup truck with like a hardback closed hatch that cannot be removed.
Okay.
The front is a very wide grille with two very wide bars going across horizontally. Two gigantic white headlights with two still pretty big yellow fog lights below.
Is it a car company that I would know the name of?
Absolutely.
Yes.
The back is very plain. There is a single sort of like it looks like it's the kind of handle that you turn, like you pull down and pull out to open. Almost like it's like a morgue. So again, sort of the hearse kind of vibe. Very
Yeah,
plain
okay.
back, not really much decoration. Dual exhaust in the back.
Is it a Ford?
No, what's the next biggest one?
GM? General Motors?
Smaller than that.
Chevrolet?
No. The inside of the door has what looks like imagine like a puffy winter vest, but on the door.
Okay, okay.
Wood paneling inside, at least this one does. Again, the sort of winter vest in the back. The back kind of looks like a kill site. Like it looks like you would be murdered, either smoke a lot of weed or be murdered in the back of this van.
Party back. Yeah, because it's a big ass hatch.
But also, like, you might escape the Dust Bowl in it, which I know is a little anachronistic because it's from, you said the 50s, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks like something that you would, throw all of your worldly possessions in and drive out to California.
The speedometer only goes up to 80.
So, not a Ford, not a Chevy, but equally as big. What other cars were around in the 50s? I don't know what brands were like when they started.
I feel like on Mad Men they had like an account with this
Cadillac?
company, right? No.
It's not a luxury brand.
Okay, is it like Pontiac?
You're missing a very big one.
I'm missing a really big one. What is Ford, Chevy, GMC? Packard. What is it?
It's amazing how you're not.
Am I just all around it?
I don't even know if
Yeah,
you're all
I think
around it.
so.
It's just like there's a very, very, very big one.
That's still around today. Dom has driven some of their cars in these movies?
Dodge?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not gonna know the model of it at all though.
No.
It has a 360 V8 with a Torque Flight 727 automatic transmission from an 86 Dodge. It was retrofitted with a newer engine.
Oh, okay, cool.
9-inch Ford rear. I don't know what that means. With a 3.25 gears. Custom power Dodge blank seats. Actually, it says
Send me a
Dakota
picture.
seats, but it's not a Dakota. Mustang shifter. Oh, this is like a crazy, like, all over the
Mashup
place.
car. Okay.
86 Dodge steering column, 12-volt system, power steering. Power steering. This panel is just service. So, I mean, the car that we're looking at is just like some on a classiccars.com that somebody's selling.
I want to see it.
A 1955 Dodge Town panel.
Yeah, I have no idea what this is. Send it to me. Oh, it's just like an HHR or a PT Cruiser. Good job. And you got this like quilted doors. Oh yeah, you could definitely murder someone in this back seat.
Right?
And there's wood. It's like a sauna in the back with the way the wood paneling is spread out, like a steam room or something, right? Yeah, this is very cool.
I saw that and I was just like, we must play it.
That's a pretty interesting one. It's nothing that I would have guessed though. This was super hard. I didn't even know that they were making Dodges in '55. That's like really fucking long time ago.
Well, Joe, next week, you and I are finally, Cara, this is a movie close to your heart. We teased it a little earlier in the lap. We are finally getting to it because we finally are able to get our hands on it. We're talking about the Tammy the T-Rex gore cuts.
Oh, nice.
So finally doing that next week. But Cara, you'll be back with us in
Paul
2
Walker's
weeks.
first car movie.
Very
car
exciting.
movie. Good tip. Okay.
Which I think I told you that, but again,
I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
But in 2 weeks, Cara, you will be back for the newest installment, last year's August release of Hobbs and Shaw. So very exciting for you to not conclude the driving school lap, because you'll be back on our relap recap, but the last full movie you'll be watching. And also, next episode, we will be joined, schedules permitting, by someone, I'm not going to say his name, but if you know who's been on every lap since lap 2, he'll be joining Cara next episode. So stay tuned for that. But Cara, any final thoughts about anything we talked about tonight? And do you have a tweet response to "Sir, I am a homosexual"?
I do not.
Fair enough.
You're all family to us.
Oh, that's
That's
nice.
a good one. Yeah, that's a very welcoming one. I like that.
You're still #family to us. And I gotta put a gif. I'm gonna put a gif in there too.
Yeah, that's good. That'll tone it down some.
Oh, how about this one? This is kind of fun.
Yeah, I like Suki. That works.
Carrie, your goal next episode is to surpass Joe as the all-time
Points leader.
2F points leader. You're second in the clubhouse right now, which
You're close, yeah.
I love and also makes me a little sad.
Because you have like 30 episodes on
It would actually make me sad if there was like any way that I could actually like be good at this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I hold the record for the most like points?
Oh, points per game, yeah,
episode?
absolutely.
Yeah, points per episode for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're like Wilt Chamberlain, like throwing up 50 a game. You know? Well, Cara, thank you so much for joining us. We will welcome you back into the fold for Hobbs and Shaw in 2 weeks. But for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you can go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFast2Forever, or at TooFast2Forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Go to our Patreon page at TooFast2Forever.com. Still time to get in your picks for lap 6, lap 7. Come back next week for Tammy the T-Rex, the gore cut. Come back in 2 weeks for Hobbs and Shaw. And go check out the entirety of the driving school lap, all probably close to 15, 20 episodes by now. So lots for you to listen to. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And I'm Cara Gael Regan.
And we'll see you next time right here on Too Fast, Too Forever.